This student arrives home from class, right? It was meant to be just a common day, but things were strange. He finds a note, and as soon as he looks at it, Haruto is sent to a completely different world. The teen had no idea what was going to happen. The individual who brought him there starts speaking in his mind. It turns out to be a version of himself from 10 years later. Future him says that Haruto will turn into the best space-time wizard ever, but it will be far too late. So, he thought he should reach out to his past self to make progress faster. Now he needs to visit the F-rank dungeon in the city alone to chat with his future self once more. Back at his house, the main guy asks himself, does any of this actually work? And then he recalls his day, his terrible day at class. At Haruto's school, he basically got beat up and had his face rubbed on the ground. Why? Because of his fellow students. They were laughing at him, saying it was only a simple spell and he shouldn't have been struck. The poor guy was mad, but was too soft to even stand up. Haruto just stayed there and asked if they were finished. He wanted them to return an item they stole from him. The group told him to go grab snacks for everyone. He did, but he missed the soda, and that was a massive fault. Because of that, his penalty was getting some fire magic tossed at him. The jerk threw another strike and nearly hit Haruto. At least this time, the poor guy didn't get his head pushed on the floor. Their little game got stopped when a girl appeared, and she was very angry. This is Shinonome, and she is part of the school guards. They returned what they took from Haruto, but he wasn't fast enough to grab it. It hit the ground, and his phone screen smashed just like his name. She rushed to him to see if he was fine, but he told her to go away. If she stays near him, people will start acting the same way toward her. The girl doesn't really fight it, but she is very stressed about him. Tired of being so tiny, Haruto tells his pal that they can't be like they were when they were little anymore. At school, everyone would giggle at him behind his back, talking about how he was the worst kid there and asking how he even got in. He only got a spot because of his parents' friends, and sadly, they aren't here anymore. They had the bad luck of being on a flight that had a crash. After that bad day, Haruto made his choice. He was going to the cave his future self mentioned. He took the note, and the paper started talking to him, leading him to a flat wall. He had to hit the note against the wall, and just like magic, it moved and showed a hidden path. Inside the space, a blue gem was just hanging, held by some chains. It is a skill cube. If you grab it, you get a talent. Haruto walked up to it and saw his own sad face right before he touched it. The gem just shocked his hand and turned red. Lines of light started moving all over the walls, and then the roof broke open. All the stone pieces in the room got pulled up and made a massive stone monster. You could see it even through all the smoke. Haruto was frozen still with shock. There was no way he could fight that giant. When the beast moved, it was very quick, too. It hit him with a blow so fast he couldn't even understand it. He got thrown into a wall with the note from the future on one side and his cracked phone on the other. The picture on his screen grabbed his eye. It was his family, the only people who ever liked him and made him feel safe. Then the note started speaking to him again. The voice in the note liked him and cared about him too. And maybe, just maybe, this person likes him the most because it is him, his future self. Will he just give up? Will he lose everything one more time? Right here in this dark spot, Haruto thought about school and that shame. He couldn't let it go. He had to get his win. The monster attacked wildly. Haruto went for his blade, but he was struck. A system alert appeared. Hidden goal needs have been met. Player's death has been stopped. Then our guy just blows up with power. A huge light kicks out everywhere, and his body begins fixing itself. The power of space-time is now his. Haruto is no longer the same weakling he used to be. Covered in blue sparks and looking like a new person, a system screen shows he has finally gained space-time magic. The voice from the future says sorry for not mentioning the trap earlier. He explains that this magic won't even be found for another 10 years, so it is a very rare skill. The teen asks if he truly is from the future, and his older self says the trial has started. Without waiting, the monster strikes again, but now the boy is prepared to strike back. He moves away from the beast's hand with a great speed he never had before. The lead guy feels his body is much lighter and thinks it must be because of the skill. Then the note says it will show him how to battle, telling him to stop using his eyes and start using his feelings. The future voice says the boy needs to feel how time moves through the world. Focusing hard, the boy says the same words as his older self, trying to grasp the power. The being says he knows he can do it because they are the same person after all. Seeing this, the stone giant gets ready for a bigger hit to smash him. But the hero shuts his eyes and focuses, trying to feel the flow around him. The boy stays still as the giant hand falls toward him. He tries to sense the way time flows in the world, just like the older him said. With his eyes shining bright, the boy snaps his fingers, looking more sure of himself. The beast hits again, but the young man jumps back, missing the blow by just an inch. He then gives a sure smile and says he is going to use space-time magic. Using his new pace, he sprints up the monster's arm before it can move. At that point, a system screen pops up and he uses a speed boost skill. The boy flies forward like a spring, suddenly moving at a crazy pace. He runs up the giant at high speed, looking like a blue flash in the dark. Reaching the peak, he jumps and sees how great his new power really is. Then he stabs his glowing sword right into the monster's soft spot. The boy drops onto the enemy's head, his blade buried deep in its heart. From inside, the stone heart starts to slowly crack. Then a burst of purple light blinds the room, marking the end of the monster. The beast then breaks into many bits that fly all over the place. After killing the foe, the young man lands safely on the ground of the hidden room. Looking back, he sees the leftover parts of the giant turning into sand. A system screen shows he went up 4 levels and got a lot of gold. Looking at the prizes, the being asks if he finally trusts him now. Then the note calls him a little bug, his mean name from school. The boy grips the paper and says he trusts him a bit, and the voice says it is time for the next step. As he walks out, the young man asks if there is more to do, and the note says yes. His future self says they must go to Renee Chernon because she is going to die today. The hero stops fast, shocked by the news, and wonders what that means. Totally confused, he asks for the truth about what he just heard. Then the voice says that his old friend Renee is truly in trouble. She is going to enter a cave with pals and die to a secret boss. Stopping where he stands, his older self tells him to save that girl. Then the being asks him to use his gift to change her fate. With fire in his eyes, the voice calls him the Wizard of Space-Time and tells him to move. The future voice says the girl will die today in a city dungeon. The being says the cause will be a surprise C-rank boss that shows up. The future self says her team will cry for help, but nobody will get there in time. Mad at the story, the young man tells the voice to be quiet and runs to the dungeon. He then angrily asks why his older self did not tell him this much sooner. The note says he hates being around people and usually acts like he does not care. Getting to the dungeon, the boy meets a monster but ignores it and keeps going. The voice mocks him, using his old nickname, Germ, to push his limits. With that, the spirit tells him to quit acting like he has no heart and just face his true feelings. The being says he can shift the whole world with the strength he has in his palms. The boy rushes ahead and slices through every goblin in his way at the same time. The voice ends by saying that the days ahead depend only on what he chooses to do right now. The hero tells his future self to be quiet and glides across the dirt with his power turned on. He then says firmly that he will follow his heart no matter what happens. Happy with this, the spirit says that was the reply it wanted and will give him a prize for it. Meanwhile, in the middle of the cave, a huge blast of power hits. The weight of the hit throws Renee back fast before she can move. She slams into the ground hard, and her pals look on in terror at the sight. From far away, we see the girl on the dirt as a friend yells her name in pain. The young woman stays passed out, fallen and hurt on the floor. With a struggle, she opens one eye and looks at the thing that hit her just a moment ago. In front of them, a knight in black male shows up holding a massive blade. Then, a screen shows that he is the C-rank secret boss, the scary dark guard. Scared, her pals freak out while one girl tries to yell for aid. Another young woman with a staff tries to get the team to fight as one. However, one of the boys moves away in fear, saying he does not want to fight and die, but the beast gives them no time to talk and moves in to hit again. Its huge blade falls with great force toward the students. The hit strikes the earth, causing a giant blast of purple light in that spot. After the smoke clears, we see Renee, out of breath and tired. In her eyes, the sight shows all her pals beaten on the cave floor. Looking forward, the girl sees that she is the only one left standing. Her friends are all badly hurt and cannot keep up the fight. With his last bit of life, one of them begs the young woman to save him from this mess. Without a second thought, the girl turns and faces the dark guard for one last try. With a shout, she runs with her fire spear to hit the beast. The blow hits the monster's male directly, but it seems to do nothing. In return, the boss lets out a wave of blue light that easily throws her back. Totally shocked, the young woman sees her best move was for nothing. Seeing its opening, the Dark Knight lifts its blade for the last hit. The giant sword falls fast toward the girl who is helpless on the dirt. In fear, she cries out for help and a skill screen suddenly shows up. In that second, the hero appears and stops the hit using chains of light. The boy asks his friend if she is all right now. Surprised, the girl knows him and cannot believe what she is seeing. With tears in her eyes, the girl still cannot believe he is really there. The boy covers her with his body and tells her to stay back while he holds the chains. He then turns to the Dark Guard and sees his chains will not stay whole much longer. With a strong hit, the beast breaks free and the young man jumps away to miss getting struck. He lands safely at a distance from the foe, getting ready for battle. The beast hits again, but the boy uses his pace to duck under the strike. Getting near enough, he manages to stop the giant blade with his own sword. He sees a soft spot in the beast's mail and aims his strike right there. However, as he hits, he sees the boss's mail is much harder than it seemed. The force of the hit pushes him back, and he fights not to be thrown away. The foe's blade keeps pushing against his, and sparks fly everywhere. He is finally pushed back, and the beast breaks a piece off our boy's blade. Seeing this, the boy sees the boss is getting ready for some kind of long-range move with the stone. The stone glows with a dark light and starts to break, letting out huge power. Then the beast fires a giant purple beam toward the young man. The monster's move causes a massive blast of purple light through the room, but the boy uses speed boost to miss the deadly beam by a tiny bit. With his eyes shining, he sees that his blade alone is not going to work. He recalls how his sword could not even mark the beast's mail. Because of this, he thinks there must be a soft spot somewhere in the foe's guard. Then the young man sees the weak point is the head, and he needs to hit it there. The voice warns him that the blade is no good, but the boy runs forward to hit anyway. He smiles and says he knows that already as he uses fix-it magic. With that, the snapped blade begins to put itself back together in front of him, but the beast gets a dark power hit ready. However, at that moment, the sword hits the boss's head, stopping it for a bit. Taking the chance, the boy hits with all he has, causing a blue power blast. The hit lands perfectly, and the monster's head begins to break from the strike. He lands safely as the voice says he was able to shift fate. In front of his friend, the hero looks at the beaten foe on the cave floor. Still on the dirt, the girl looks up, shocked by the main guy's skills. With steady steps, the girl stands up and walks to the boy, wanting some answers. She keeps walking and angrily asks how he was able to do that. Totally confused, his friend yells again, wanting to know what happened. Pointing at her savior, the young woman tells him to explain himself right now. But before anything else, the girl says she is going to thank him for saving the team. With a red face, she yells her thanks for saving her and her pals. The boy gets a bit shy from the thanks and says it was no big deal. Then the young woman gets very close and asks what kind of magic he used. At this, the future voice warns him not to talk about space-time magic. The girl looks at him with doubt, and the boy does not know what to say. Switching the topic, the boy asks her to keep it a secret that he was the one who saved her. The girl is shocked by the ask, and he says that he does not want to be noticed. The voice tells him to keep stalling, and his friend is surprised by the noise. His friend asks if that voice was his, but the young man says no right away. The spirit says sorry, but the boy promises to get back at it later for this. Messed up, the boy does not know what to say to his friend after the mix-up. He then makes up a tale about testing a blade skill that is not finished yet. Because of this, the young man really begs her to keep it a secret for now. With a red face, the girl seems to think about her friend's deal. Then, with a look, she asks if this is a secret just between the two of them. The hero says yes, a bit confused by his friend's odd mood. With a smile, his friend finally says yes, and the boy lets out a breath of relief for getting away. Back at school, the hero says that he stopped the death that was meant for Renee. He also thinks that at the same time, he got huge power and magic. The boy remembers that the past cannot be shifted as the school bell rings. But now, the young man sees that with his new gifts, he can finally shift the future. At that moment, a student calls him by his mean name, germ, to pick a fight. We see three bullies laughing and making fun of our hero for no reason. Their leader says he heard the boy went to the cave and saw him running away. They keep mocking him, saying he is a loser for bringing out an extra boss. The bully says a friend got hurt and went to a clinic with a big bill. With a grin, he asks for cash so he won't tell anyone he saw the boy there. Even with the bullies all around, our hero stays quiet and does not answer. Mad, one of the guys makes a fireball and scares the young man with his magic. Calmly, the hero says firmly that he does not want to be hit by them. The bully is surprised by the answer and does not believe what he just heard. With a dark look, the boy says again that he does not want to and calls them sad trash. Mad, the group's leader runs at him with a fist, ready to hit. But the hero says that because his skills grew, everything is different now. Now he can follow every move his enemies make with perfect focus. With that, the boy ducks and hits back at their strikes with amazing pace. In a second, all three bullies are on the dirt, totally beaten. Surprised, they look at the boy and ask what on earth happened to him. The boy looks at them with a cold stare and warns them never to show their faces near him again. He then pulls out a lighter while holding the bullies' things and asks if they know what will happen if they do not listen. Scared, the bullies point at the boy, not sure what to say about the threat. With the flame lit, he makes the promise between them in a very scary way. He says his kind request again with a look that makes it clear what happens if they fail. Terrified, the three boys nod yes without saying a single word. Happy, the young man lets out a breath and thinks it is best to get back to the room. In class, he thinks if the next part will be the magic power test. The teacher says they will start the term's test and calls the boy's name. Our hero stands up nicely and answers the teacher's call for the exam. He recalls that last time his magic power was almost 0 in every part. But now, as a space-time wizard, he thinks about what the new score will be. Walking to the front, the boy thinks about using his new magic just to try it out. He then touches the magic glass under the eye of the class teacher. Closing his eyes, the boy focuses and starts to let out his blue light. His eyes shine with a bright light as he turns on his secret gift. A bright light bursts from the glass, leaving the teacher totally shocked by the sight. He is completely still, not knowing what is going on. Then, a giant blast of blue power hits and blinds everyone in the room. The force is so big that the magic glass breaks and falls into bits. In total shock, the teacher yells that this cannot be and cannot be real. Rubbing his head, the boy feels bad for using so much power at one time. Our hero sees that instead of being quiet, he ended up getting a lot of eyes on him. Meanwhile, his friend Renee tries not to laugh at her friend's mess. After class, the young man starts hearing many whispers wherever he goes in the halls. The students say that he broke the tool and has power higher than rank A. The hero sees that the talk about him has totally shifted in one night. He then walks home feeling more tired than usual from all the eyes on him. But suddenly a known voice calls his name, and the boy turns to see. The young man is mixed up and looks around trying to see where the call came from. The mystery voice says it is right there, and he still does not know what is going on. Then something shows up out of thin air right in front of him. Totally scared, the boy yells, not knowing what the heck is happening. Suddenly, a cute pink pet shows up and says it is the mystery voice. With a look of shock, he finally knows the voice that was calling him. The young man asks if that is his future self and why it looks so odd. The toy says that it used space-time magic to live inside a stuffed animal. But at that second, the being says they have a crisis and need to move very fast. The toy then says there is no time for chatting now. His future self says that the Chaos Dragon has shown up much sooner than they thought. Our hero gets stiff and asks about this dragon, biting his teeth in fear. The boy finds out it is a very scary beast. It is a top-level monster meant to be killed that has hit many people. The cute pet says that the beast broke the area's fighter group. And with that, the beast caused a huge disaster, leaving many hurt. The spirit says that is just what happened in its first timeline. Now they need to beat it, or another sad event will happen, as the past said. The boy is shocked by the news of the coming disaster. He then says to call the fighter group to ask for a hunting team. At this, the toy cuts him off and says there is no more time as it is already too late. The young man is mixed up and his future self says that the dragon is already right here. At that second, the giant chaos dragon shows up roaring in front of them. The hero panics and asks why the beast is not inside a cave. His future self says that this is a type that moves in the open air. At this rate, he sees the school will be totally broken by the beast. Outside, the other students walk normally, not knowing about the danger. A group of kids is talking until the sky suddenly gets dark. Looking up, they see the monster and ask why it is there. The beast's glowing red eye looks down at the kids with pure hate. Scared, the students start running fast for their lives. A blonde girl yells for the normal kids to leave the area right away. Soon after, she and her team of wizards get ready for the fight about to start. The boy knows the group and says, "That is the Student Council of Wizards." A huge pink magic ring then forms on the earth, getting a strong hit ready. Many smaller rings show up around the beast, setting the stage for the strike. With that, the students fire a group magic hit right at the monster. The team leader yells that the beast will not step into the school. Then, her strong pink magic hits the dragon head-on, causing a very bright light. But even after being hit perfectly, the giant beast seems to have felt nothing. A huge blast lights up the whole sky, and it looks like the danger is finally gone. The team then cheers, thinking they have beaten the beast. With a sure smile, the blonde girl thinks her team did the job. But to everyone's shock, the hit did not work, and they cannot believe what they are seeing. The evil beast seems to drink in the hit and gets a big countermove ready. Next, the dragon fires a purple power beam toward the young wizards. In the blink of an eye, the whole student council is totally beaten by the monster. His future self says this is no shock as they are only students. The cute pet calls the boy's name in a stern voice. Then the toy spits a pink slime right in our hero's face. The young man yells, asking what the heck it is doing with that mood. His future self says that it is a dragon smell to pull the beast in. The smell will make the monster hunt him and ignore everyone else. With that, the spirit says it is now his turn to finally beat the dragon. The monster's red eye looks at him, and the giant beast runs in his way. At this, the toy yells for the boy to run as fast as he can. The boy then runs for his life while the beast tries to smash him from behind. He then looks back, worried, hearing his friend ask the other girl if she is fine. Looking back, the young man sees Renee and the other council members beaten on the dirt. His future self asks if he does not want the girl to be in this fight anymore. The boy says yes, and the spirit tells him to go as this will lower the chance of being seen. With that, the hero turns on speed boost and starts to run at high pace. The giant monster then roars and wildly hunts him through the city roads. At that second, the young man leads the beast to the train station in the city for a fight. The hero sees the place is empty, and the spirit tells him to hop the fence. After hopping the fence, he turns and asks about the beast's traits. The cute pet says its power is dark and its breath can beat foes. It then says that it is strong against physical hits, and the young man sees why. The spirit says yes and explains that because it is not smart, the smell worked to pull it in. The boy agrees, and the spirit says that 500,000 credits were a good spend. Shocked, the boy asks if he heard that crazy amount of cash spent right. Mad, he grabs the toy after finding out the cash came from his bank without asking, and he asks how his future self found his bank code. Even if the reason is very clear, totally sad about the mess, the young man thinks this is all nuts. His partner tells him not to worry since he will earn the cash back fast. He explains that the money is just an extra and the true prize is a skill gem. With this gem, he will get a new and strong space-time power. The hero gulps and tells him to keep going with the plan. The toy says that because the beast is young, its heart will be easy to see. But before he can say where it is, the monster roars and hits them with all its might. The force of the strike is so big that our hero is tossed far away. Then the cute pet yells for him to watch out, and the boy thanks him for the useless tip. At that second, the dragon fires a giant purple beam in his way. A huge blast happens, and the young man tries to protect himself as best as he can with his blade. The boy manages to move away and says he barely missed the beast's deadly hit. But suddenly he sees something odd and looks totally shocked. The pink blast happens right where he was standing just a few seconds ago. The wave is so strong it breaks everything around with great force. Inside all the smoke, the giant monster lands and looks at the damage. With a mean grin, the beast thinks it won and its chest starts to shine. Out of nowhere, a blue light shows up and a sword cut hits the dragon right in the chest. The creature is mixed up, not knowing what happened, and the young man starts to explain. He says that what the beast saw was just his image from a half second ago. His partner says he used space-time magic to dodge and is proud. Without wasting time, the boy jumps toward the monster to hit its soft spot. He finally sees the dragon's heart glowing in the chest of the huge beast. With a set look, our hero yells that he has finally found what he was seeking. Then, with all his power, he gets a huge hit ready for the heart. The sword hits the beast's soft spot head-on, causing a very bright light. The young man says something feels wrong, and even with the hit, he has a bad feeling. Suddenly, the beast's body turns into purple power and pulls our hero inside. Totally confused, the boy asks what the heck is going on around him. Next, the monster shows up again from that odd smoke. Mad, he complains that his future self never said anything about this weird skill. The spirit says that the beast's body can turn into poison and that he needs to watch out. The boy asks to be told things before the fight begins. The toy then starts to explain that the dragon uses its power to make a body. With that, the creature finishes fixing itself and roars with all its evil power. Then the purple smoke turns into many bats that fly at him. Scared, the hero says it is impossible for that monster to be a baby. His partner says that a strong foe that was meant to show up in 5 years has come now. The young man asks why such a big threat came so early in the tale. The spirit says maybe it is because he shifted the future and that he must beat it. Letting out a breath, our hero complains that his future self is putting all the work on him. At this, the group of bats flies his way, leaving him totally shocked. With no time to waste, he turns on his speed boost to get away from the group of creatures in the air. He manages to quickly cut one of the dark bats that were hunting him. At this, the toy sees that the small dragons do not turn into poison when they lose. The spirit tells him to beat the small ones first, and then wait for the best time to hit. The young man lands on the tracks and agrees with the plan, saying that is just what he will do. Then he starts to build power in his feet, getting ready for the next move. With a set look, the boy gets ready to start the plan and end the fight. At that second, he runs forward at a great pace, leaving a line of light behind him. With his blade in hand, he cuts down all the dark creatures that show up in his path. The hero keeps up his non-stop hit and breaks many of the monsters with his strikes. His partner watches the fight and thinks he should go up about 3 levels from this battle. Gasps for air, the boy pauses for a second to catch his breath and thinks he has cleared out all the tiny foes. But out of nowhere, the main beast shows up again at the end of the path with its heart glowing. Our boy is shocked by what he sees right there. Taking a chance on the distraction, the dragon fires a huge power beam in their way. A giant blast happens at the spot, covering everything around in its fire. Hit perfectly by the blast, our hero is tossed far away by the hit, but the beast does not stop and already starts building another shot of dark power. With wide eyes, the young man sees he will not have time to move away from the strike. Mad, the boy complains that he barely had a second to breathe. And here comes another strong hit. A second blast lights up the area, but the result looks a bit different from before. He then complains that he used too much power on the small ones earlier in the fight. The boy sees that at this rate, he only has a few more minutes before he runs out of juice. With that, he decides he needs to hit the beast's heart before it is too late. Suddenly, the hero is surprised to see something odd coming from the foe. The monster then starts to fly high, and his partner warns that his hit will not reach it. In the sky, the beast roars and gets ready to fire another big hit from above. In a panic, the young man asks what he can do in this hard spot. He then looks to the side and seems to have a plan after seeing the parked train cars. The hero sees he can use the train to get the height he needs for the hit. With a set look, he focuses on the train cars and makes a new fight plan. The young man sees he can use the cars to reach the right height to strike. With that in mind, he gets ready to use the trains as a jump pad. His partner asks what the plan is and says things are getting very risky. Without saying why, the boy grabs the toy tight, scaring the creature. He then starts running and says his partner is coming with him to help with his move. With great skill, the hero jumps from one box to another to get higher. Even at the top, his partner warns that he still cannot reach the monster, and the boy agrees. The hero squeezes the cute pet and says that is why he needs a little extra aid. Then he tosses his partner like a ball toward the dragon, which is left confused. Next, the young man turns on a space-time magic and calls a magic chain. The chain's hooked to the toy which is left hanging in the air. Not knowing what is going on, The hero uses his partner as a step and jumps to reach the giant beast in the sky. Seeing him come near, the dragon roars and gets a counter hit ready. With a set look, the boy says the magic again to stop the beast before it turns to poison. The magic chain fully grows and flies toward the flying beast. With this, the magic traps the dragon, and the boy says he can only hold it for a few seconds. But he promises that this short time is more than enough for him to end the fight. With his blade shining bright, he gets the last hit ready for the monster. The strike hits the beast's heart perfectly, causing a very strong light on the hit. With a focused look, the hero uses all his power to break the enemy's soft spot. The dragon's heart starts to crack under the weight of the sword and lets out a purple light. Suddenly, the space-time chain snaps, freeing the giant beast. Even so, our hero does not give up and keeps pushing the blade with all his might. In its last seconds, the beast roars in pain as its body starts to melt. Finally, the heart breaks into many bits, and the monster is beaten for good. A large blast happens, and his partner falls to the dirt after being tossed. The young man's blade also cannot take the force and snaps after the last hit. Tired and gasping, the hero finally rests after the hard fight just ended. Soon after, a system note says that he has beaten the scary Chaos Dragon. Happy, the boy carefully looks at the prizes that show up in front of him. The system tells him he went up 15 levels and got over 800,000 credits. He also gets the Chaos Dragon's tooth and a tip to raise his rank as a fighter. His partner tells him good job on the win and says he knew it would happen since they are the same person. But right after, the cute pet gets mad and yells about being used as a step in the battle. The young man ignores his partner's noise and looks at the notes that showed up. At this, the system says his space-time magic went up 20 levels and he got new skills. He also got a new passive gift that boosts his power by 50%. Even though it is mad, the cute pet says it will let it go since they stopped a disaster. Suddenly, his partner hears sirens and sees the police are coming, saying they need to leave. The hero agrees and says no one can know they were there. The toy then hops on the boy's shoulder, who is surprised they feel the same way about something. Without wasting time, the hero jumps a fence to run away fast. After leaving, they finally get to a safe spot to rest. In the flat, the boy sits on the couch with a bag of food. He opens a sandwich and seems to recall something big. With that, the young man asks his partner if he needs to eat something, too. The toy sighs and asks how it would eat, being only a cloth doll. The boy says that a talking pet is odd enough as it is. Then, the boy has a plan and stops eating before the first bite. The boy gets up and leaves the cute pet there, watching with doubt. He then goes to the table and fills a cup with water for someone special. The young man puts the cup in front of a photo and says hello to his late family. The pet complains and asks his friend not to tease him like that. The hero turns and asks why he would do that, and the toy says it is because they are the same person. His partner looks at the little girl's picture and thinks he should not talk about Ria yet. He decides he will tell the truth when the boy is a stronger time wizard. At that second, the boy recalls they found a part to make a new blade. A system note shows up and shows the dragon's tooth as a prize. His partner recalls that his blade snapped, so the time is perfect for a new one. The pet tells him not to go to class the next day since they are going to make a new sword. The next day, the young man gets to the fighter group and feels a bit scared of the place. The boy is amazed by how big the building is as his partner hops on his shoulder with a grin. The pet says he can thank it later. The hero walks in and thinks about going home as soon as he is done. Inside the hall, a voice calls for number 23, and the boy sees it is him. He goes to the desk and says he finished a cave and wants to see the score. As he gives his card, the worker thinks he looks too soft to be a fighter, but with a fake smile, the woman says she will check his stats. Then she takes the young man's ID and gets ready to look at the info. The woman puts the card in a machine and his info shows up on a light screen. The system starts to load all the data for the worker to see. Next, she asks him to put his hand on the screen to prove who he is and check his rank. The hero does it and waits for the machine to finish. Suddenly, the worker's eyes go wide in shock at what is on the screen. Surprised, she sees that his rank went from I to C in one day and cannot believe it. Shaking, the woman asks if the machine is broken or has a big bug. The hero sees that her face is making everyone look at them. Not wanting a scene, he decides to try his new fix-it skill. With a smile, he calls the woman and says the check is done. Mixed up, The worker looks at the screen, which now shows rank E, and asks what happened. The young man acts like he knows nothing and asks the worker if there was an issue. Staying calm, the woman gives the card back and says it was nothing, though she finds it all very odd. He takes his card and thanks the lady for her help at the desk. The boy then says he used his fix-it magic to change the machine screen. His partner tells him good job for the smart move, and the hero says he just stopped the future from shifting. In front of a lift, he asks the toy which way he should go. The cute pet tells him to take the lift to get to their next spot. Inside the box, the boy waits as the lift goes up to the right floor. The doors slide open and he steps out, finding himself in a new secret hall. Reaching a door, he sees that only rank of fighters can go inside. But his partner says that is not a problem and he should not fret. The toy then turns into a glowing card and drops into the boy's hand. Surprised, the young man asks how it turned into a card, and the item tells him to use it. The boy pauses and recalls that the sensor is a lock, but the card says to do it. Without waiting, the boy touches the card to the lock, which makes a sound. With the door open, the young man is excited to start making his new blade and a time item. At this, someone asks who he is, thinking it is a school visit. The young man looks at the man who asked and gets ready to answer the stern question. Calmly, he says he is not on a school trip and says he came to make a new blade. Surprised by the reply, the expert is quiet for a bit and looks at him with doubt. He then asks if the boy's rank is higher than A for him to be in here. We find out this man is Tokumyun. The head of the blade-making lab. Tokumyun rubs his head and says, the boy looks like a rank F, but he could not have passed the lock. At that second, the hero's partner whispers for him to show the item he got before. The boy then says he got a rare part from a foe and wants to make his blade stronger. Interested, the head takes the item from the young man's hand to look at it more closely. Using a tool on his eye, Tokumyun scans the tooth and says the part is good. Then the expert asks if it was the boy himself who beat the beast, and he says yes. Happy with the answer, Tokumyun agrees to help him and points to the middle of the room. After getting the okay, the lab floor shakes. Soon after, a huge machine starts to rise from the ground right in front of them. The hero is amazed by the size of the tool that suddenly showed up there. The head says this is the newest and best making machine in the land. He says that the boy's part is new, so he wants to watch the results. With that, the expert lets him use the gear for free and then walks out of the room. His partner then says it will lead him through the task since the boy has never done it. The hero thinks it is no shock he knows nothing about making blades. After all, only rank B students and higher learn this at school. The pet says the first step is to pick the blade for the task, which will be his own. Right after, the second step is picking the power to put in the blade. A chart shows that the number of powers depends on the blade's rank from F to S. The young man's sword is rank F, so it can only have one power spot. The third step is to boost the blade with parts like gems or bones. The pet also says it is possible to join two different swords into one. In his case, the part will be the dragon's tooth. And the last part is the joining itself. The machine will show the power and time of the joining, and he gets ready to start. The boy then says the tool will be his sword and puts it inside the machine. The screen shows the power choices, and his partner complains about the lack of options. With no choice, the pet tells him to pick the light power, and the boy does as he is told. A slot opens in the gear, and the young man asks if he should put the part there. He slides the dragon's tooth into the machine. The hero asks about the wait time, and his partner tells him to set the clock for 3 years. Shocked, the boy yells that it is a prank, and he cannot wait that long. His friend tells him to stop crying, and the young man says okay, even if he doesn't want to. The machine then says the work has started, and the blade will be ready in 3 years. Suddenly, the glowing card flies from the boy's hand, and he yells for it to stop. Ignoring him, the item slides into a secret hole in the machine. At this, a bright blue light covers the gear, and the young man asks what is going on. The glow bursts in a bright flash, and the system thanks the boy for waiting. A note shows up and says the work is done, and the sword of chaos is made. Back in the lab, the hero holds his new blade, and his partner warns that this was a one-time thing. At that second, the headman shows up shocked and yells, asking how the work finished in just a few seconds. In a panic, Tokumyun messes with a light screen, trying to see what happened. The pet tells him to run while the man is busy, and the young man hides his new blade. The boy says thanks for the help and leaves while the expert yells for him to stay. Leaving the hall, the hero hears two people talking about the news. One of them speaks about the unknown hero, and the young man stops for a bit to listen. The man says the unknown guy beat the dragon alone and that he is a star rookie. His friend says the big groups will fight to hire him, and the hero keeps walking. A fighter dreams of being hired by a top group, but his pal laughs at the idea. The hero is mixed up by the news and thinks it is best to go home and sleep, but the cute pet shows up and says they should go to a cave to try the new blade. With a grin, the toy says they are going to the cave of the god beast, Cerberus. Then, a picture of the three-headed dog shows up as the floor starts to shake. The hero is scared by the idea and asks if his partner really said Cerberus. The next day at school, his friend Renee shows up running and calls the hero's name. The girl ignores the other kids and cries, happy to see her friend is fine. Catching her breath, the young woman says she heard the beast that hit the school attacked him. The young woman says she was scared because he did not read her texts or show up for class. Mad, she yells that she was very worried and the hero asks what she is doing there. The young woman says she is the one who should ask that and that she came to ask him to go to a cave. The boy sees and says it is no shock since she is the top wizard in the second year. On his shoulder, the pet tells him to stop talking and to get moving, and the young man says okay, wiping her tears. The girl smiles and says she is glad he is safe. The hero then says sorry for making his friend so scared for him. Suddenly, the student sees the pet on his shoulder and asks what that toy is. The young woman's eyes shine, and she is amazed by how cute the little thing is. Without waiting, the young woman grabs the toy and asks if she can hold it for a bit. The girl smells the toy and says its scent is nice for some reason. She hugs the boy's partner tight, and the young man thinks the sight is a bit odd. The hero then says she can take it home, and the student is surprised by the gift. The boy tells her to take it and bring it back later, and the toy gets scared. The student thanks him a lot and hugs the pet tight while turning red with joy. With that, the young woman says bye to her friend and leaves, waving with the toy in her hands. The hero tells his partner not to be mad because the girl will bring him back soon. The pet gets very mad and yells that is not the issue, hitting the young man on the back. Even so, the toy grabs the boy's shirt and seems to want to say something big. He says that because of this, he has met his childhood pal again after losing her 10 years ago. The partner thanks the hero for helping him find his old friend once more. The young man says he is glad to hear that and keeps walking with his partner on his shoulder. Meanwhile, the boy with white hair watches it all from far away, playing with his phone. He whispers that this boy must be Haruto, the germ. With a dark smile, he hopes that the secret dragon killer will be fun to fight. The scene moves to the school office where someone seems to be waiting. At the desk, a person hits their hand on some papers and asks if the news is for real. A gem on a coat glows as the person asks again with a look of doubt. The girl with glasses says her name is Yuzuki, the vice head, and asks him about the event. The hero says his story is true, and the girl looks at him with doubt from her desk. At this, Yuzuki picks up some files and says a mean dragon hit the school 2 days ago. She goes on, saying many people saw the beast fly the same way he was running. The young man makes up a tale that the dragon chased another kid and that he barely got away. He then says bye to head to class, but the vice head tells him to stay for a bit. Leaving the room, the hero asks why everyone thinks it was him. His partner shows him the phone and says the answer is right there on the screen. In the post, a news piece says a dragon slayer saved the city from the big crisis. Many people say wow and call the secret savior the city's star. The boy then asks if the pet can delete the post using space-time magic. The toy says that with his current gifts, that cannot be done, and the young man sees. With a sigh, he walks into class, and his eyes go wide at what is inside. All the students talk quietly when they see him and say he is finally here. Sitting in his spot, the hero recalls how his classmates always stayed away, but he sees that for some reason, the mood in the room is different today. At that second, Renee runs in and says it is a crisis because he is there. The same guy from before shows up and tells her to stop. The white-haired boy says his name is Ryuga, the council head. He then says his name again and says he is the top student leader. With his red eyes shining, the head says he has come to dare our hero to a magic fight. At this, all the kids in class start talking about the council head's dare. A group of students says to each other that this whole thing is totally nuts. But one says that the rookie cannot use magic because he has no power types. He then recalls that even so, the boy broke the magic test tool. The tool also had bits of unknown stuff on it, and the hero gets worried. He also shows the post about a secret dragon killer saving the city from a mess. The white-haired boy then says the young man beat the beast all alone, and that he killed the chaos dragon, known for being very mean. The hero is shocked, and the head says he thinks he is a very odd person. With a sure smile, he says he finds the rookie a very interesting guy, and that is why he needs to beat the boy before he becomes a bigger issue. With a grin, the head tells the class that he has also beat a dragon once. So, he asks for a fight to see which of them should be called the Dragon Slayer. And he says that the magic fight is a way for students to test their power. The ranks in the school are set by the scores, and the best get perks. Also, after they finish school, they can be leaders in the fighter group. The only rule is not to use magic that causes permanent harm or death in fights. Lower-ranked students can dare higher ones who must say yes to the fight. At this, the hero sees that since he has a low rank, he can say no and thinks it would be nuts to say yes. At that second, the headman warns Renee that she should pick her pals with more care. The white-haired boy then says that in her next private class, he will make sure to teach her a lesson she will never forget, and that he will teach this lesson without leaving a thing behind, and the girl is in shock. With a mean grin, he says he will also show her the secret to getting into the council. The girl grips her hand and says she is looking forward to his help. At this, both the hero and his pal seem quite upset with the mess. The hero grips the pin on his coat and gets the headman's eye. The hero stands up and faces the white-haired boy who dared him. The hero then tells his rival that he wants to talk about the magic fight, and he says yes to the council head's dare. Hearing this, the hero's friend is shocked and worried about the boy's choice. The young man then says yes to the fight, but he has one rule for the battle. At this, the headman finds it funny and asks if he really wants to set any rules. The hero points at his rival and says that the loser must quit the school. With that, the white-haired boy gives a dark smile at his foe's guts. He says yes to the rule and warns that it is now too late to feel bad about it. Our hero then stares him down with a stern look, full of hope in his win. After, his partner praises the young man's mood for standing up to Ryuga like that. The pet then says that the hero is starting to become more like him, but the hero knows Ryuga is strong and asks if his friend knows anything else about him. The toy makes a stern face as it knows very well who the council head is. It says that in the future, Ryuga becomes the boss of the city's fighter group, and after making new fire magic, he becomes one of the 7 top wizards. The hero asks if he becomes a sage, and his friend says yes, and that the rival's mood is trash. The pet says he will use his power to take advantage of many girl students at the school. The partner also says that he is very good at making groups of fans at school. Then the toy adds that on top of it all, the head also has a natural gift for magic. The pet says there is a good reason everyone calls him a smart wizard. Because of all this, the partner warns that the young man cannot beat him as he is now. The little pet tells the boy to check his scores to see his growth. With that, a screen shows Haruto's stats, who is at level 15 as a fighter. Looking at the scores, the pet says that he has grown a lot since the start, but even so, the partner starts messing with the hero's stat screen. He then compares them with the rival's scores, and the hero is shocked and cannot believe it. The screen shows that Ryuga is at level 78 and is rank A, being 10 times stronger. The hero cannot believe he can see other scores and sees the power gap. Far away, the boy sees 2 girl students, and one is crying while her friend helps her. The crying girl asks what she should do now in this mess. The student says she can no longer use magic and will fail the wizard class. Her friend does not get it because she used the staff and spells the right way without making any errors. The girl then asks if she should take private classes with Mr. Ryuga to fix it. Hearing this, the hero is shocked and the girl's pal agrees she should go. Then the other student says she thinks the private classes will fix the issue soon. Our boy recalls his rival's mean smile and him saying that everything ends fast with the girl students and that it all ends if the girl shuts her eyes and follows his rules. At this, the hero grips his fist in anger and asks to talk to the 2 of them for a bit. The 2 look back mixed up, not knowing what the boy wants with them now. Walking toward them, the girl's friend knows him as the one from the fighter class. The hero then stands in front of the 2 young women with a stern and set look. He says the young woman does not need his classes and that he himself will fix her issue. The hero reaches out to the young woman who is jumped by his sudden move. He focuses and recalls a tip from his magic power class. The young man then uses his gift to see how the magic flows. With this, the boy sees her magic path is clogged from using it too much. So, all the hero needs to do is take out the bad part. And with that, the girl's magic flow will start to run right again. He then asks the young woman not to be too loud while he fixes the issue. The hero reaches toward the student, who is very mixed up by this. The hero's hand then starts to shine with a very bright blue light. He then pokes the young woman a few times, and her friend yells her name, worried. Then the pal asks what he is doing, but the young man just tells the girl to use magic. Her friend asks if she is fine, and the student says that nothing happened. The girl then holds her hands, and a green light starts to form between them. At this, a great wave of magic covers the two who are shocked by the outcome. The young woman yells with joy because now she can use her magic moves again. At this, her friend sees that she has become even stronger than before with his aid. With a big grin, the student seems very happy and glad with what happened. Then she thanks our hero a lot, who says it was no big deal. The young woman cries with joy and says that now she won't need Ryuga's classes. At this, the hero recalls the threat the rival made to his friend Renee. Later, the hero walks through the school and gets his partner's eye on his shoulder. The boy then asks the pet what he can do to get stronger. He says there are only 3 days left until his fight against the council head, and he wants to close the power gap and asks for the best cave to train in. The pet grins and says it was waiting for this and got a map early. Our hero then asks what prizes he will get in the spot. His partner says that the cave will give a huge amount of EXP points, and that he will also get a new space-time spell. The toy says it will also be his chance to try the new blade he made, and that he will also get a summon, leaving our hero very excited. The hero was the one who said to go to the cave, but now he is a bit scared. Facing an army of beasts, he asks how he is going to beat them all alone. His partner mocks him and asks if the mess doesn't put him back in the zone. The hero says yes and says thanks as his hand starts to shine with power. The pet warns him not to lose, and the young man, sure of himself, says that he won't. He then runs at the group of foes, promising to kill them all in the cave. With his eyes shining, the boy yells that he will beat them, and the scene moves to an hour later. Elsewhere, we see a group of fighters battling near a large lift. One of them tries to hit a beast, but his blade snaps on the enemy. A wizard in the group tells him to move and gets a spell ready with her staff. She then fires a strong blast of fire at the glass knight. With a sure smile, the young woman asks what the foe thought of her magic hit. But to everyone's shock, the beast comes out of the smoke without a mark. The stat screen shows it is a black glass knight, safe from magic and strong against physical hits. The group is scared as their hits do not work, and they find the mess pointless. Then the knight gets a strong hit ready against the fighters. The two pull back in fear, waiting for the foe's last strike, which never hits. But what they hear is just the sound of steel hitting steel hard. The boy in the group looks at the scene, not knowing what is going on. He is then shocked to see that the hit was stopped by someone else. At this, a blade hits the knight's head. Suddenly, our hero shows up and lands a strong blow on the glass beast. The foe then breaks into many bits, and the group of fighters is surprised. They see they are still living and thank the young man for saving them from a bad end. The hero warns that many beasts fill the cave and they should get out fast. The boy asks what will happen to him, and our hero tells them to go on ahead. Meanwhile, he will stay back and stop the foes that are coming. The young man turns to the group of knights and tells the fighters to go. The team says sorry for the mess and thanks him one more time for the aid. His partner then warns that that was beast number 89. The toy says he is not even halfway to his goal, and the hero says okay. The boy says he will end things fast and level up without stopping. The hero holds his blade, ready for the fight. He then runs forward, slicing through many glass beasts in his way with skill. His partner warns that these foes give the most EXP in the cave. Because of this, they are perfect for the young man to level up fast. But the pet warns that at the boy's current level, these foes are very strong. At that second, the fighter's eyes shine with a bright blue power. Suddenly, chains of light burst from the dirt and trap all the foes. The pet says that with the Sword of Chaos, the end of the fight can shift because the blade has the light power, which is very strong. So, The hero can easily slice through all the glass beasts. The pet says that the boy is now strong enough to battle them. He then lands in front of an army of beasts and wants to beat many of them. The young man builds power in his feet, getting ready to run at the group, but he shifts his mind and says he will not take down just a few, but all of them. With his new will, one of the beasts runs to hit him. With that, the boy manages to protect himself from the beast's many hits. His eyes shine with a blue light as he gets ready for the strike. And even while slicing several foes, he seems shocked by how many there are. After the fight, he stands among the bits of the glass beasts. Tired and gasping, he sees an even bigger foe coming out in front of him. A screen shows that the black glass leader has very high stats. His partner then warns him that this beast has boss-level stats. The fighter runs forward and his blade hits the giant beasts. The young man sees he needs to move before the beast's power beats him. He then decides he needs to use his blade's power to win. With that, the boy moves away from the strong downward hit sent by the leader. The dark power in his hand builds, getting the counter hit ready. He gets behind the foe, taking the opening to strike. With his eyes shining, he gets ready to land his last hit. With his blade, he slices the giant beast with a strong and exact strike. Even after the win, the hero is gasping and his partner calls to him. Suddenly, a blast tosses him far away and he complains that he is too busy. The toy then starts to explain that space-time magic is quite different. Its power does not rely on magic types, but on things that rule time. He says that the hero uses the chronotype, and that is why he can use magic. The young man complains about the time, but his friend says that fighting is the best time to learn. At this, more glass beasts move in his way to keep up the fight. The boy uses his power chains once more to trap all the foes. As he slices the beasts, the toy warns him never to let his guard down. Then, new cloaked beasts show up in the dark cave. A screen shows that these are black glass wizards with high magic shield. The wizards start to build a strong ball of purple light together. At that second, the partner tells the young man that he is a space-time wizard and that even in a fight, he can learn and move away from the wizard's hits. He tells him to focus his mind on the chronotype without stopping. With wide eyes, the hero focuses as he faces the magic hit. The pet yells for the young man to take rule of the time flow right now. With that, the boy's eyes shine with a blue power and a magic sign. The wizard's magic causes a giant blast in the middle of the cave, but the hero protects himself with a blue power shield. With that, his shield stops one of the moving glass beasts. The young man then holds out his hand and gets ready to cast his own magic. A blue light builds in his palm for the counter hit. He fires a strong power beam that hits every foe in the room. After the smoke clears, all the beasts in the cave have been totally beaten. The boy looks at his hand and asks if this is what it means to use the flow of time. With a grin, the pet says the boy's idea is right. The partner thinks he has more gift than he thought and used the space-time bullet. At this, the hero's hit breaks one of the cave's armors with huge power. The hero leans on his blade, standing on a pile of beaten beasts. Even after the win, he is gasping and clearly tired from the fight. At this, many note screens show up in front of him, saying he leveled up. With his power back, he then asks where his next goal is. Suddenly, the rank B cave boss shows up, and it is the god beast, Cerberus. The three-headed monster looks him down with a mean growl and shining eyes. The hero faces the rank B cave boss, the god beast, Cerberus. His partner then says that this boss has a sense of honor and pride not common for beasts. Even so, the toy warns him not to let his guard down against the beast for any reason. A screen says that the foe is the sacred beast Cerberus, the rank B cave boss. His partner says the beast is like a samurai, having the soul of a fighter. Our hero seems to feel a heavy weight coming from the monster and is a bit out of breath. Cerberus' eye shines bright as it watches the young man's every move. Seeing his state, the pet gives him a drink and says it will make him feel a bit better. The hero says yes and takes the drink, getting ready to swallow it and get his strength back. The three-headed beast just watches him, and the boy asks if it is waiting for him to get well. Facing the monster's mood, the hero stands still in front of it. Moved by the foe's honor, the hero says that this is a very odd cave boss. At this, his partner points out an old cut on the monster and tells the boy to hit it there. With the drink working, he feels the beast's scary aura come back, and says he sees. He sees the monster was really waiting and feels he owes it. Cerberus' tail glows bright as it gets ready to start the fight. With hate, the three-headed beast runs at the boy to hit him with all it has. The monster hits with its claws, but the young man moves away from the deadly strike by just an inch. With his eyes shining, he uses space-time magic to move at high pace. The boy gets near and aims his blade right at the old cut, which is the soft spot. He sees that this is the scar his partner spoke of and puts all his power on that weak point. The beast runs at the hero even as he lifts his blade. The hero, seeing a bite coming, saves himself with his blade. One of the beast's heads bites the sword hard to stop our hero's move. Sparks fly everywhere as the two keep testing their power in a big lock. Seeing a gap, he uses the foe's head as a step to jump and move again in the fight. With skill, the hero flies over Cerberus to try a new way to hit, but one of the heads turns and fires a strong breath hit his way. Seeing the danger, his partner yells for him to duck that power blast. With no time to move, the power hit strikes the boy head-on, causing a blast. However, he uses space-time magic, and what the beast hits is just a shadow from the past. Mad, the hero builds his power and gets a strong counter hit ready. His hand shines bright, and he hits Cerberus' old scar head-on with his magic. With a shout of power, the boy lets out all his energy right into the monster's soft spot. Hit perfectly, Cerberus yells in pain from the weight of the magic hit. After the strike, the hero lands while the beast holds the sword in its teeth. His partner is mixed up by the young man's move and does not get what happened. The toy then recalls the trick he used on the girl student to fix her magic paths. At this, the monster's cut starts to shine with blue power and heals for good. The hero says he healed the beast because he wants to fight his foe the right way. Totally shocked, the toy yells that he has gone nuts and is going to die. But the boy says it is needed to return the respect he got, even from a beast. In a sign of honor, the three-headed monster tosses the sword back to the young man with care. His partner is shocked and says the enemy gave back the boy's blade as a peer. With the debt paid, Cerberus now faces the hero. However, the hero says no to the blade and says he won't need it for the battle. With that, the young man grips his fists, getting ready to fight with no weapon. In a fight pose, he says, "This is not about levels or beating a boss." With a set look, he says that this is just a real fight. The beast seems to get the dare and faces him with the same honor. From far away, his partner gets nothing and asks what the heck is going on. Without wasting time, the hero runs and lands a strong punch on Cerberus, but he sees the hit was not as hard as he thought on the beast. In return, the three-headed monster hits him with a strong and exact strike. Our young man is tossed hard against a glass wall. However, the hero manages to get up and lands on the glass. Fast, he hits back at the beast with a strong jump towards Cerberus. He lands a hard punch on the beast's face. The strong hit strikes one of Cerberus' heads, which seems to have felt it. However, he does not give up and tries a bite at the hero. His bite hits the hero's whole arm, who feels the pain. He bites his teeth and sweats from the work to stay alive. The beast then shakes him wildly. While being bitten, the hero yells in pain. Seeing this, his partner gets very worried and yells his name in total fear. After being thrown against the glass, the hero feels pain. His partner tells him to get it together. The beast's three heads start to build a strong group power hit. The hero's eye shines bright as he calmly says he already knows what to do. He then says he will put all his power into this last hit to win. One of Cerberus' heads fires a strong gold power beam his way. The hit causes a huge blast of light that fills the whole cave room. Covered in his own power, the hero gets ready for the last strike against the monster. With all his power set, the young man hopes his body can take the force he is about to use. Then he runs with a shout, letting out all his power at once. Without wasting time, the hero runs and lands some strong punches against the beast. But the monster hits back and tosses him far away with a blow that hurts his arm. Even with the pain, the young man faces the foe with a look of hate and will. The three-headed beast then roars and runs with its claws to end the battle. At this, the hero builds his power in his fist, getting ready for the hit. With his eyes shining bright, he lets out all his strength in one shout. He lands another huge punch on one of the beast's heads. The beast yells in pain from the hit. Jumping into the air, he faces the monster's three heads and gets his last hit ready. With a set look, he yells that this is the end of the road for the beast. A giant blast of blue light happens and totally covers the monster. After the smoke clears, we see the hero standing and his foe fallen. The young man then thinks and asks if he has always been like that in fights. With a sigh, he says he has always been a meathead who moves without thinking. A system screen shows up and says that he has cleared the rank B cave. Suddenly, he wakes up and a known voice asks if he is finally awake. Opening his eyes slowly, he does not seem to get what happened in that spot. His partner looks at him very worried, waiting for the young man to speak. Sitting on the floor, he says that somehow he was able to beat the strong foe. A screen shows that he leveled up 20 times, and he asks what else he got. The system shows that he got a cloak, and the young man thinks about trying it on later. But suddenly, the hero sees something odd and looks amazed. To his shock, the beast is standing in front of him again. Seeing it stand there leaves the hero surprised, but to his shock, the beast now looks like a cute and friendly pup. Totally mixed up, the hero is quiet at the monster's shift. The beast now looks at him with a kind face and even wags its tail happily. Even without knowing why, he chooses to reach out to the three-headed beast. With that, he pets the monster's head, and it seems to like it a lot. The toy says the beast liked him, and the hero asks if that is really the boss. His partner says it was not expected, but that he got the prize anyway. The hero then asks if the prize was the gear, but the pet says no right away. With that, he says that the prize is the sacred beast Cerberus itself, the best in the cave. The spirit warns that to make the deal, he needs to feed the beast his blood. Without a second thought, the hero cuts his finger, giving the blood to the creature. He then gives it to one of the creature's mouths. A screen says that the beast is his servant, and the partner says they have reached their goal point 3 days later. At the school for fighters, someone points to a guy in the yard. The students look at our hero and whisper, asking if it is really him. With a patch on his face, the young man walks with a stern and set look. Suddenly, his friend Renee sees him from far off and yells his name. She runs to him and asks where he has been since she could not reach him. The hero says that he did special training for the fight against the headman. The girl is very worried, asking what he did to get so hurt. Our hero says with hope that one way or another, he is ready for the battle. Seeing this mood from him, the girl asks if he is the same friend she used to know. With his eyes shut, the young man seems calm and much more sure than before. From far away, the council head watches and thinks the rookie had run off in fear. With a mean grin, he thinks the rival came only to show how sad he is. Then, the white-haired boy and his fans walk up to them in the hall. He then tells everyone that the fight will happen right after today's class. Mocking him, the head asks if he is ready and calls him Dragon Killer. Without a pause, our hero faces his rival and says that he is more than ready. The head then asks if he has not forgotten the dumb rule he set. The hero says that the loser of the fight will have to quit this school forever. At this, the rival says that is not enough, and the young man asks what he means. The white-haired boy then holds out his hand, ready to show off. He says to add 100 million credits to the bet to make it more fun. Hearing this, our hero is totally shocked by the huge amount. The other students start pushing the hero to say yes to the bet. Watching it all, his partner sees the council heads move. The pet sees that the rival is using the other kids to poke at the young man. With this, he thinks that his foe is as sneaky as he always was in the future. The rival then says that he will take everything the hero has at that moment. With a mean grin, he adds that he will turn him into his slave. His friend tries to step in, but the young man stops her and says yes to the 100 million bet. The council head smiles, happy with his foe's bold reply. He then says bye, saying he is looking forward to their magic fight later. Before going, he turns to the girl and scares her again about her private class. The young woman is totally quiet and terrified by the headman's threat. Seeing her face, our hero turns and tells her not to fret. With a sure smile, he promises his friend that he will for sure win the battle. After days of hard training in the cave, our young man has gotten ready for this fight. Later, after class, the hero walks down the hall. The time for the battle is finally near, but suddenly he stops and looks to the side with a very mixed-up face. At this, a group of bullies shows up, and the leader asks him to play a bit before the fight. One of the guys says they each get 1,000,000 credits if they take him out. The hero hears the threat, but stays calm and shows nothing. The hitters ask if he is scared, and say that crying won't aid him. Ignoring the talk, our hero whispers that this is a big relief for him. Totally confused by the reply, the bullies do not get the situation at all. He says he is glad to know his rival uses old and easy tricks. With that, he warns them that they will be the first to get their part of the prize. Mad at his guts, the leader of the hitters points his blade and calls him a name. The bully yells for the young man not to get too big for his boots. With a cold look and his eyes shining blue, the hero gets ready to hit back. In the blink of an eye, he runs forward and smashes the bully to the dirt with one hit. With his eyes glowing, he faces the rest of the group with no fear. He then stands up and says it is a pain to have to deal with all of them at once. Meanwhile, in the ring, the rival complains that the dragon killer has not shown up yet. So he asks the judge if he can win by default if the foe does not come. His fans say the rookie was a fool and likely ran off in fear of him. With a smile, the headman thinks his goons have already dealt with the hero. In the seats, the hero's friend looks very worried about him being gone. But suddenly someone in the crowd yells that the challenger is finally here. At this, the headman and his fans turn around shocked, not believing what they see. Totally surprised, the rival asks what the heck the young man is doing there. The hero says there is nothing odd since they had a fight set for today. Quiet. The council head points at the hero, not knowing what to say. Back at the school, all the bullies were left on the dirt, totally beaten. With a stern look, the hero says they can finally start the battle. He turns to the judge and asks him to give the sign to start. The judge calls the student from Class 3 to take his spot for the fight. Next, he brings out the student from Class 2F, Haruto. With both fighters in their spots, the judge finally gives the start sign. The council head bites his teeth in anger for being shamed before. He then says he does not know how the rookie did that, but he is going to end him. With a tight fist, he gets ready to show all his power in the battle. At this, his foe yells that he is going all out from the start. A huge wave of fire bursts from him and moves toward our hero. Walking through the fire, the headman seems very sure of a win. With a mean grin, he asks if his foe is ready for what is coming. Our hero watches as a screen shows that he is using a high-level fire spell. Without wasting time, the headman runs and fires a strong flame hit. He thinks he did not hold back, and if the hit lands, it will be the end of his rival. But the hero stays calm, and his eyes shine with a blue light. His foe keeps building his flames to make sure the hit lands. He sees that the flames make a shift in the time flow as they move. With that, the young man ducks the fireball, which flies past him with no issue. The hero keeps moving and gets away from many blasts. His face shows great calm as another hit passes close by. Using his magic, the hero makes a fake shadow to trick his foe. The council head is shocked and yells that this cannot be. The young man steps on the burnt dirt without a mark, showing he is the better fighter. The hero sees something odd after he lands. He then jumps very high in the ring after sensing a trap. From the dirt, a pillar of fire bursts out. Luckily, the hero saw it coming early. His rival cannot believe that even his double trap hit failed. The headman is stunned as the hero builds his blue power. He then uses his chrono beam skill and fires a giant power blast. The hit strikes the headman perfectly, tossing him against the ring floor. The crowd is in shock and asks how someone with no magic did that. With a big grin, his friend says that what she just saw was amazing. She thinks she already knew it and that he is no longer the same Haruto as before. As he walks in the ring, the hero asks if he was not going to fight with all he had from the start. Back on his feet, the headman looks at the hero, feeling quite hurt. With a mad look, the hero's rival seems to have become very angry at the mess. He then yells in rage and lets out a huge amount of flames around him. His partner says that this spell uses direct hits with fire at 3,000 degrees, but our hero calmly faces the hit and starts to move the flames with his hand. The headman yells that the spell burns all it touches and that he will turn to ash. With that, the hero runs and kicks his rival's leg to make him fall in the fight. He then grabs Ryuga's arm, holding him down on the dirt. With the headman on the ground, the hero gets a hit ready for his face. With a look of shock, the hero's rival seems to fear the blow. However, out of kindness, the hero lands the hit only on the side of the headman's face. Our hero then calmly says that he was able to put out the flames of the hit. Mad, the headman points at the young man and calls him trash who will fail. At this, the rival turns to his fans and asks if they already know what to do. With their hands shining, The headman's fans yell his name and agree to aid him. With that, a giant fire sign forms above the headman as he drinks in the magic. The headman smiles as he gets the power, and the future voice says it is a break in the rules. Our hero then asks how much power from other folks he needs to fight. The hero's rival just gives a mean laugh with his hair on fire. Suddenly, his feet start to turn into dragon claws with his secret trick. A fire aura wraps around the headman. The hit then bursts into a huge wall of flames that rises to the ring roof. Seeing the power of the magic, the young man is shocked and cannot believe what he sees. At this, the flames start to take the shape of a giant fire dragon in front of him. The fire beast is a summon, and the hero knows he cannot win in a normal way. Even so, the hero faces the beast and says he already knows he cannot fight normally. Facing the giant fire dragon, the beast lets out a flame hit against the hero. With a great jump, he manages to move away from the magic beast's strong hit. Then, he fires a blue power beam from his hand to hit back at the fire monster. With wide eyes, the hero cannot believe what just happened. The fire monster took no harm, and the young man sees his hit was no use. At this, the flame beast gets another hit ready to end the fight for good. The giant dragon runs and corners the hero. Moving back due to the flames, he finds himself totally trapped by the enemy's fire. Pushed against the wall, he has no place to run. The young man then sees he has nowhere left to go and is totally stuck. The giant fire beast wraps around him from all sides to stop him from getting away. But with his eyes shining blue, the hero seems to have a new plan in mind. He then sees something odd in a part of the time flow inside the beast. The hero sees that it is like a crack in the flow of time. With this, he thinks that if he makes this crack bigger, he might have a chance to win. At that second, the fire dragon hits with its giant claw, smashing the dirt. But a blue light shines right in the middle of the beast's paw, shocking everyone. Suddenly, the hero shows up wrapped in blue light and stops the dragon's hit. He then jumps away, and we see that he used a shadow from the past to get away from the strike. Holding his blade, the hero asks his partner to let him use the toy again. The cute pet shows up and moans that he is going to do that again, but says okay in the end. With that, the hero grabs his partner, who makes a face of total fear. He then tosses the pet, which shines with a blue light and a mad face. The hero hits the dirt and uses a chain skill to trap his partner in the air. With that, he uses the toy as a hook to swing himself and get more speed. With a set look, the young man gets ready to hit the fire beast with all he has. The hero then runs at high pace toward the flame monster to strike. With his eyes shining bright, he focuses on the soft spot he found in the foe. He then sees that this is the crack in the flow of time he saw before in the battle. With a shout, the hero gets his blade ready to hit the beast's weak spot. He then lands a strong blow that slices the fire dragon in half with his sword. The hero lands safe as the monster melts into dark flames. Seeing his hit beaten, the headman is shocked, not getting what happened. In a panic, the council head pulls his hair, not knowing what the heck went on. He yells that it cannot be and that as long as the fans chant, the magic comes back forever. The headman walks up and asks why the magic did not come back. The headman keeps yelling that there is no magic rule like the one he knows. Our hero lands a strong punch on his proud foe's chest. With the hit, the white-haired boy falls to the dirt, totally beaten and with no power. The teacher watching the battle is shocked. The hero asks what the score of the fight is. Then he says that the winner of the battle is our hero, Haruto. We see Renee and her pals at a party where she brings everyone to cheer. They then toss confetti and say good job to our hero for his win in the fight. A bit shy from the party, our hero can only thank them all. The girl then gives him a cup and asks him to do the honors. The young man then sits at the table with the girls who look at him and wait. He looks at the cup and says okay to the toast for the party to start. With that, everyone lifts their cups and toasts together with great joy. The students keep the party going, drinking and eating the food on the table. One of the girls then says she is glad the headman is leaving the school. The others agree and moan that he was a mean and very bad guy. One of them hugs Renee and says she barely got away from the headman's grip. Suddenly, a classmate asks the hero what happened to the 100 million from the bet. The hero takes a sip of his drink. He then puts the cup on the table and says he totally forgot about the bet. The girls are totally shocked and yell that it was a huge waste. The hero calmly says that he was never interested in the bet cash. Hearing this, the girls get hearts in their eyes and think his mood is cool. Then one of the students calls him by his name, wanting to ask something big. She then asks what his link with Renee is, leaving him very mixed up. With the sudden question, his friend spits out all her drink. Shocked by the mess, the young woman then yells at her pal, asking what she is saying all of a sudden. Her friend says that he picked a fight with the best student in school because of her. At this, the other girls join in and ask again what the link between the two is. Pushed by the students, the hero does not know what to say and starts to trip over his words. Seeing his face, the young women get even closer, waiting for his reply. With no way out, he suddenly stands up and makes up a lie about needing to use the bathroom to get away. Seeing him walk away, the girls say that he was able to get away from their question. One of the young women says he seems to have changed and now seems more grown up. Renee then recalls that since that day, her friend has always been around. She remembers when they were kids and he saved her from a giant mean beast. In the past, we see the young boy shielding his friend with just a simple stick. Back in the present, Renee holds her cup and thinks that things have always been this way. With a red face, the girl recalls that they even share a secret now. She remembers how he saved her in the cave on that dark night. The young woman recalls the second her friend beat the monster with his power. She then thinks of how the hero stood before her after saving her from danger. Meanwhile, in the bathroom, our hero washes his hands, thinking about the party. He then gets a text from his friend saying sorry for the questions. Reading the note, the hero gives a small smile at the girl's care. Looking at his face in the glass, he thinks he has not seen something so lively in a long time. With that, he grips the sink with a stern look. He recalls his family and how he thought he would never have happy times again. The young man then asks if the future can really be shifted by what he does. Suddenly, the pet on his shoulder calls his name to get his eye. Mad, the boy turns and asks his partner to be quiet until they get home. The toy warns that it is a crisis, and the young man is mixed up by the news. His future self then says in a stern voice that the time has finally come. The hero turns and asks what the heck his partner is talking about now. Then, the spirit says it will tell him the real reason for being there with him. With that, he says that the hero's little sister, who was meant to be dead, is actually living. And a picture of his sister comes to his mind. Totally shocked, the hero cannot believe what he just heard. He recalls that his sister Rhea died in a crash a long time ago, but the toy says that she is not living in the world he is in. The pet then tells him to get ready right now for what is coming. With a set look, the spirit says that the two of them will save her together. Soon, we see some scenes of the hero's childhood with his sister. With a big smile, the young woman showed off the red scarf she had just made. Curious, the hero asked if it was Rhea herself who made the gift. With great pride, the little girl jumps with joy and says she made it all by herself. The hero thinks she is funny. With a bright face, the girl holds out the gift, saying it is for him to wear. Totally surprised, the boy asks if it is really for him and if it will look good. With that, the young woman pouts and asks if he does not want her gift. Fast, the hero says no and says, of course, he wants the scarf. Hearing this, the little girl breaks into a huge smile of pure joy. Then she puts the scarf on him and says he should have taken it right away. With the gift around his neck, the boy says that the work seems a bit loose. With the scarf on, the girl warns that tomorrow is Christmas Day. Then she puts on a fake mustache and says it is a gift from Rhea. With a soft smile, the hero sees the move and thanks her for the gift from his heart. The girl asks for a late party after her dance show. With a smile, she says he will also have to give her a gift, but he says that he never kept the vow since his family had a crash. Back in the present, the hero recalls that they never went home again. A voice calls his name and pulls him from his sad memories. In his flat, the young man keeps being lost in his thoughts about what happened. Looking at the shelf, he focuses on a very special memory from his kids' days. He stares at the photo of his family and the scarf his little sister gave him as a gift. With that, the hero says sorry and asks his partner to say what he said again. The pet then tells him to get it together since they have a task that cannot fail. The hero says okay, but asks why his sister Rhea is living in the first place. He then says that everyone died in the crash and she cannot be living. The partner asks what he knows about the crash, and the young man says it was a mystery. At this, the spirit says that this secret is way past what science can explain. The hero is shocked and mixed up by the news, not getting any of it. The cute pet says that a space-time hole opened in the sky on that day. Mixed up, the hero asks what that is, and the spirit says it is a link between worlds. The being says the plane was pulled in by the hole, and that is why it vanished from the radar before the crash. Even in shock, the young man says this does not shift the fact that all the folks on board died. His partner reminds him that his sister Ria's body was never found in the bits of the crash. At this, the toy says she was the only one sucked into that hole all alone. With wide eyes, the hero finally starts to get the truth of it all. The spirit says the spot is called the dimensional rift, where time and space are not the same. So, years in this world for the little girl would be less than the blink of an eye in there. Thus, when the hole opens again, his sister will finally come back to this world. He says that is why he came from the future, because when he found out the truth, it was already too late. The toy grips his clothes and begs the young man to save the girl this time. In fear, the little pet asks the hero of this world to do what he could not do in the other. The hero stays quiet as he watches the pet. He then says yes and asks where and when the space-time hole will show up. The toy says it will show up right above the Tokyo Tower in the Sky Castle Cave. The next day, we see the city getting ready for another normal day of work. Looking at the city, the hero is ready for the task. The task with his sister's scarf around his neck. The toy moans that he bought all the fight items and healing drinks from the shop. The young man says he only did it thanks to the cash he made in the glass maze. The spirit then asks why he is wearing the scarf in the middle of June. With a far-off look, our hero just says he feels the cold easily, and that is why he wears it. The partner sees and chooses not to push the point, so he does not feel bad. He warns that the gate to the Sky Castle Cave is at the Tokyo Tower view spot. In 24 hours, the space-time hole will open 300 meters above the cave. When that happens, the hole will spit his sister out of the rift. But if the hero does not get there in time to save her, the girl will fall. The hero grips his fist tight. With his hand out, he turns on his space-time wizard suit and gets ready to move. With that, a bright blue light wraps around him, and he gets ready to enter the cave. With his suit and a set look, he vows he will save his sister, no matter what. Our hero then gets to the spot, but is stopped right away by two armed guards who tell him to halt. They say that a cave gate has shown up, and only rank A fighters and higher can go in. After hearing this, the hero chooses to try a new way. His partner then asks what he is going to do, and the hero says there is no time, and they will take a short path. With that, the hero builds blue power in his feet, getting ready for a fast move. Then he jumps and starts to climb the huge red tower using his boost and skill. The pet says he is learning, but the hero moans that his future self is very annoying. The hero keeps climbing the metal tower at a great pace. Reaching the top, the young man looks over the edge to see what is going on inside. Inside, a red-haired man and his guards look at the scene with a stern face. The young man's partner warns that a mean guy has come, and the hero asks if he knows him. The spirit then says he is the boss of the area's fighter group and is very pig-headed. The future being also says that the man will just stand there looking at the gate without doing a thing to help. The hero says they cannot wait and tells his partner they are going into the door. With that, the hero means to break the tower's glass to get in. The loud noise gets the guild boss's eye, and he asks what that sound was. So, he tells a guard to check the source of the noise right away. The soldier looks at the glass but sees nothing broken, leaving him very mixed up. Suddenly, our hero shows up as a fast blur right behind the guard who is not paying attention. With a touch, the young man hits the soldier from behind, leaving him totally out cold. The guard falls to the dirt, and our hero says he used the fix-it gift. He says he fixed the glass he broke to get in and now thinks about what to do next. The guard who was knocked out runs to warn his boss that they have a big issue. The soldier says there is a gatecrasher and that he is too strong to beat alone. Mad, the guild boss chooses to deal with the whole mess himself. With that, he yells for his men to follow him to face the secret guy. However, one of the guards there does not move and just stands still. Slowly, the soldier lifts his hand and starts to take off his hat. In fact, it was our hero in a mask, and his partner tells him good job on the great plan. With that, he takes off the mask. The hero walks up to the door and says, "It is time to go in." So he walks toward the door, but on the other side, his eye goes wide in total shock at what he sees. Suddenly, the young man finds himself falling headfirst into a flipped world. He then sees that the view around him is totally upside down. His partner says that going down the stairs in this cave actually means going up. The cute pet also says that the cave's theme is the dark arts and will have ghost beasts. The hero thinks it is very odd to fight a group of the dead in a clear blue sky. He says this does not fit his style, but the spirit says it has already dealt with that. His friend then reminds him that they put the strong light power into his new blade. At this, the young man recalls picking the light type when making the blade. The pet says this was the main reason for his training and tells him to get ready. With a set look, the hero moves through the cave, ready to face the foes. His eyes shine with hope as he gets ready for the battle. Before him, a dark cloaked beast shows up for the first fight. The cloaked foe runs and hits our hero with its glass staff, but the young man protects himself with his bright blade and gets a hit ready. At this, his partner says that this cave vanished in the future and is new. The spirit says it has info, but the hero keeps fighting the beasts. With his feet firm on the dirt, the young man gets ready. Then the pet says that the sky castle has 100 floors in all, and a strong boss guards the cave every 20 floors. The hero then counts that he will have to face 5 bosses in the spot. Looking at his phone, he sees there are 20 hours left, and he cannot waste time. But suddenly, the hero's eye goes wide. Out of nowhere, a group of odd zombies starts to show up. In a second, the army of odd beasts shows up before our hero. Up close, we see the beasts with red eyes and open mouths, yelling with no way to move. The hero is wrapped by the beasts. The whole group then jumps on him, totally hiding him. However, something went on. Suddenly, it went quiet in the cave. From inside the group, a blast of blue power happens, and the hero calls out the god beast, Cerberus. With his summon, he says there is no time to lose, and that they will pass through everyone as fast as they can. The beasts yell, a group of dark monsters. With his new summon, he clears a path through the foes that show up. Looking back, the young man says he thought they would be stronger. His partner says that because it is a god beast, its hits have the holy power. With that, the hero tells them to keep moving and break through the group of foes. And so, they fast move up through the cave floors, beating everyone in their way. Suddenly, the big beast stops in its tracks in the middle of the path. The hero asks his partner why they stopped so fast in the middle of the floor. Looking up, the young man's face turns stern. At this, they see a dark door show up in the middle of a round ring. The pet says that this is the first boss that shows up every 20 floors. From the dark, a bad power starts to slowly take over the whole spot. Then, a gold coach shows up in the middle of all that black smoke. Next, the secret figures slowly step down from the ride that just showed up. In a fancy suit, they walk down the steps. The figure steps on the dirt with its fancy boots and shows itself to our hero in the ring. Then, a screen says that they are the Fallen Noble Group, a team of strong vampires. The hero sees there are 3 rank A ghost beasts right in front of him. With a set look, he thinks he needs to beat them to save his sister. At this, his partner yells for him to be careful as the foes are coming. Without wasting time, the 3 vampires run to hit the hero with all they have. Calmly, he tells his friend to back off, and the pet asks if he will use the shop item. The young man says yes as he gets ready for the battle to come. With that, he turns on his new skill called Eye of Time, and his eye shines blue. Through his special sight, he can see the hit path of the youngest noble. The hero can also clearly see the next move of the vampire hitting him. He then sees the flow of time to know how the family's boss will strike. With this edge, the hero gets his hit ready with a blue power. He then fires a rain of gold and bone knives at one of the noble vampires. The youngest noble looks like he felt nothing, even with the blade stuck in him. After the 2 get close, the hero moves away from the hit. The young man then jumps away, leaving the young foe, and uses his gold and bone blade against the other beast. Then the hero hits the beast with some daggers, which it feels. With his eyes shining blue, the hero faces his foes with total will. At this, he runs at the family's boss, who yells in rage at the young man's hit. His dagger then strikes the vampire's chest perfectly. The vampire tries to hit back, landing a blow on the hero, who saves himself with his arms. The force of the hit tosses him back hard, and he yells in pain from the crash. Even hurt, the hero puts his hand on the dirt. With that, he uses the power and gets some space. His eyes shine and he thinks the foes are in the best spot for his plan. Now far from the vampires, the hero lifts his hand and tells it all to blow up. He then grips his fist and a giant blue power starts to burst all over the spot. With that, a blast hits all three vampires at once, who yell in pain. A big blast of blue and green light fills the whole cave ring. His partner says that each knife costs 100,000 credits and is made of a very rare metal. The pet then moans that he tosses costly items around without thinking about it. The toy then asks if it is fair to win just by spending millions of credits in the battle. With a stern look, the hero says the battle is not done yet, and he needs to keep going. He says that he only broke their bodies, and now they have come back as ghosts. The young man sees that, as he thought, it is hard to hurt ghost beasts with physical hits. But this also showed their weak spot, and he puts the light power on his blade. With his sword shining bright, he runs with all he is toward the foes. With a shout, the hero hits the ghosts with his holy blade without a pause. He then uses the Chaos Star skill, and many beams of light fall from the sky. The bright light of the blast fills the ring, beating the ghosts at once. A system screen says that he has beaten the foes and got many prizes. After the win, a stair of light shows up before him, leading to the next floor. Without wasting time, the hero begins to go down the steps to keep up his training. With his eyes shining bright, he vows he will save his sister, Rhea. On the 40th floor of the cave, the god beast roars. But instead of hitting our hero, the beast runs the other way with its eyes glowing. It turns out Cerberus was hitting another boss of the floor, the ghost queen Lamia. After the battle, the three-headed monster calmly walks up to our hero. The beast that was once scary now licks the young man's face like a pup. Our hero peters the beast and says it seems more like a pet. With that, they move to the 50th floor, but the toy suddenly yells for them to stop. Following the rule, the huge three-headed beast stops right away. Sitting on his new pal, the hero asks why they stopped in front of that wall. His partner says there is no error and the hero is left mixed up by the mess. The toy tells him to turn on the Eye of Time and look at the wall to see what is there. The young man's eyes shine with a bright blue light. Looking at the wall, the hero is shocked by what he can see and cannot believe it. With his new sight, he finds a secret room that vanished in the first timeline. At this, the pet turns into the card and tells him to put it on the wall to open the secret path. He does as told and puts the item in the crack of the wall to go in. Before moving on, the hero asks his new pal to wait outside. Inside the secret room, he finds a huge blue glass floating in the air. Doubting it, the young man asks the pet if this is another trap like before. His partner promises he won't trick the hero. A system screen shows up, saying this is a sound glass that lets out hidden gifts. With a touch, a blue light starts to flow from the glass right into the boy's hand. Suddenly, the item breaks into many bits, letting out a bright glow through the spot. The system says he has gained new space-time magic and opened his power. The toy is shocked he got the avatar replay, and the young man asks what that is. His partner just says it is better for him to try the new gift in a real battle. On the 60th floor, they find the boss, zombie Beelzebub, the Lord of the Flies. The pet says the beast flies, spits a liquid that melts all, and also heals. Mad, the hero moans that the pet is just listing what the foe can do. With his eyes shining, he gets ready to face the new boss of that cave. Without wasting time, the monster hits with its stinger at a great pace. The hit seemed to have gone through the hero's chest. In a second, the hero shows up behind the beast, which is mixed up. Not knowing a thing, his future self sees that he is already using his new fight gift. The hero's blue shadow stands still as the beast stares at it, not getting the mess. With that, the real hero floats in the air, watching the beast hit his fake self. He then says he is using his new space-time magic, Avatar Replay. While the beast hits the shadow, the young man turns on his fast body gift to hit back. With his body sped up to level 3, he gets ready for an exact counter hit. A blue light wraps around him, and he shows up behind the beast. The force of his feet is so big that the dirt starts to crack with the power let out. He then says that the Avatar Replay magic can make a copy of his past self. With this, the shadow takes his spot for a bit to trick the foe in battle. The hero and his shadow get ready to hit the beast. Suddenly, many copies show up and hit Beelzebub from all sides at once. With blades in hand, Both the hero and his shadows get ready for the strike. Many copies of the hero show up at the same time for the battle. They all run together in a set hit against the giant beast. With that, he and his shadows use the Chaos Star hit to end the foe. The copies wrap around the giant monster, which has no place to run from that trap. But in return, Beelzebub fires a strong poison hit their way. The hit strikes the shadows perfectly, and they start to melt from the mean poison. The real hero manages to duck, but his copies are all broken by the beast. Suddenly, beams of gold light show up in the air around the monster. The beast is totally stuck, unable to move after these hits from the hero, and finally, he beats that creature. His partner says good job and calls him a master ninja, but the young man tells him to stop it. Looking ahead, the hero says that now there are only 2 bosses left to end. With that, he takes a step and another stair shows up again. But suddenly, he feels a sharp pain in his head and does not get what is going on. With the heavy pain, the hero loses his balance and his partner yells, scared by the scene. He then falls out cold on the dirt while his pet yells his name. While he is out, the hero has some scenes from 3 years back, showing our hero much younger. At this, a little girl shows up with a dance book in her hand and begs for something. With his arms crossed, the young man does not seem to agree much with the girl's plea. The girl then vows that she won't give up halfway if he says yes. With a cute look, his sister asks one more time. Seeing how she won't stop, the hero lets out a sigh and seems to give in. He then asks if she really wants to do dance, and if she is for real. With a huge smile on her face, the girl says yes with great joy. The big brother finally says okay and asks her to pick the shoes. Very happy with the news, the little one starts jumping with joy on the couch. Sitting next to him, the girl starts to look through the book to pick her pair. Seeing his sister's joy, the hero gives a soft and happy smile. After that, we see the two getting to a dance room for her class. Inside, many other girls were stretching and talking. The girl then shows up in her dance gear and says she is ready to start. The other girls cheer for Ria and say they will do their best. Surprise! The little one looks toward the door when she hears her name. With a smile, the girl waves to her brother who is watching her from the room's entrance. The young man waves back and sees how well she seems to be fitting in. Her new pals tease her about her brother being there, and the little girl turns red. Soon after, the class starts and all the kids take their spots to work. At first, the girl seems a bit clumsy, trying to copy the moves. But even with trouble, the little one keeps trying to learn the dance. On her toes, she tries to make the moves with as much grace as she can. Then, with a smile on her face, the girl seems to finally be having real fun. Seeing this, her brother thinks that she seems to be having a lot of fun in class. After class, the girl says bye to her new pals. Walking home, the little one says that dance class was a lot of fun. She says that dance is quite hard, but that she is set to do her best. The hero listens and says he is glad to hear that from her. The little one then seems to think of something and gets a more stern look. She then suddenly stops walking and calls her brother's name. The girl asks if the shoes and classes were very costly. With a smile, the hero says it was nothing and that she does not need to fret. But the girl stays worried and holds her bag more tightly. His sister says that since their folks are away for a meeting, she thinks that all the cash must have come from her brother's pocket. Our hero is shocked and sees that his little sister has found him out, but the girl says it is okay and that he should not fret. He then asks if she had a lot of fun in class. The hero says he is glad that she found something she really loves to do. With her eyes showing love, the girl looks at her brother and calls his name. In her hands, she holds a small gift box to thank her brother. With a red face, the young woman thanks him for all he has done for her. Seeing this, the hero gives a soft smile to his dear little sister. Suddenly, the little sister hugs him and says she loves him. She then runs ahead and says she will cook to show her love for him. The scene cuts to the present, and the hero recalls this with a set look. We see him sitting on the three-headed beast he called in the cave. His partner then asks if the young man has finally woken up from his faint. The hero asks if he passed out, and the pet says he used too much power. He thinks about using a drink, but his pal says he has already dealt with it. The spirit says it healed the cuts, but not the hero's tired mind. With wide eyes, the young man in a panic asks about the time left. His partner then says that there are only 5 hours left until the battle. The hero stands up and tells them to go, even though he is very worn out. At this, He recalls his sister and vows they will go to her dance class one more time. The toy quietly watches the young man's will to keep going. The spirit says there is one boss left, and then the last boss of the cave. But he thinks that at this rate, the hero will not last much longer. With a stern look, the cute pet says it has no choice but to use its last plan. He has reached the 80th floor of the Sky Castle cave, and we see the mummy of the Acid King. But the beast is smashed right away by a strong blue power, and the monster breaks into many glass bits. At this, we see that the hit came from our hero who used his weight magic, and he holds out his hand to rule the power. A system screen tells him that he beat the boss, leveled up twice, and his fighter skill also went up by 4 points. After the hard fight, our hero looks totally worn out and gasping, and he can barely stand after so much work. At that second, his pal, Cerberus, walks up to the hero. With a smile, the young man thanks his true pal for the aid, and he pets the beast's head while the toy watches. Suddenly, a system screen shows up, asking if he wants to use a heal-all, and without a second thought, the hero picks yes. With that, a green healing light totally wraps around him, and his power and cuts are fixed in the blink of an eye. Even though better, the boy still feels tired, and his partner asks if he does not want to rest a bit after that fight. But the young man says no and says there is no time to lose as there are only 3 hours left for his sister to come out of the space-time hole. With his goal in mind, he chooses to head straight for the top floor. Soon after, a system note tells him that he has reached the 100th floor and the Sky Castle cave has been cleared. Looking at the star-filled view, he says they have finally reached the top, and his partner says it is time to face the last boss. The toy says that after beating the foe, he can reach the exact spot, as that is where the space-time hole will show up. With a set look, our hero touches his scarf. His eyes shine with blue power, and he says he is ready to go on with the fight. The young man then walks down a long hall toward a grand throne. Sitting on the throne, a giant bone man is seen, wrapped in a bad purple aura. A screen says that he is the Soul Reaper, the god of the world below, and the cave boss. Seeing the foe, the hero tenses up and his partner seems very mad at the mess. The cute pet says that this monster does not even exist in the future's data. Suddenly, the cave boss speaks and asks why only one human is there. With that, the hero is shocked to find that this beast can talk. The monster praises him for having come so far alone with no help. At this, the Soul Reaper starts to call a dark weapon with his purple magic. In return, the hero brings out his own blade with a bright blue light. Holding his new weapon, he faces the giant bone man. Getting ready for the fight, the god of the world below vows to cast the most deadly hex that exists on him. At this, the hero's partner sees that the enemy's weapon is in the data. The screen says that the weapon is the god's scythe of hexes, a staff for trick magic with bad status effects. But the hero does not care about the text and says it does not matter how strong it is. With his eyes shining bright, he vows he will beat the beast right away. Using his boosted sight, he finds the foe's soft spot, which is in its chest. Then, the hero turns on his body speed to level 3 to start the hit. With great pace, the young man runs toward the Soul Reaper. The god of the world below is shocked by the boy's speed. The hero ducks the giant scythe's hit with great skill and keeps moving. The dark blade falls with a huge force and almost strikes the hero. The weapon's hit breaks the floor into bits, but the hero manages to get away from the hit with no harm. After ducking, he jumps over the beast, looking for a gap to hit back. The young man then builds his blue power in his hand, getting a counter hit ready. His goal is the shining core in the giant bone man's chest to end the battle. He leaps into the air and gets a huge blow ready for the foe's weak spot. His blade tries to hit the goal, but the beast protects itself well. A big blast of purple power happens, but the hit does not seem to have worked. To the hero's shock, the god of the world below is still standing and seems fine, getting a new hit ready. Then, the giant bone man swings its scythe and fires a strong wave of power at the young man. The beast fires a strong blow at the hero. The Soul Reaper sees he hit a shadow and not the real hero. With that, the real hero shows up right above the foe, ready to land a deadly hit from the sky that second. He turns on his skill and yells the name of the magic to call for the sticking chains. Blue chains show up out of nowhere and wrap around the giant monster's body, trapping its moves. With his blade in hand, The young man gets ready to use the chance and end the boss for good. But the god of the world below mocks him and says that a hex like that won't work on a god being. Suddenly, the power chains start to crack and break under the giant force of the Reaper. Seeing this, the hero is shocked as he did not expect his skill to fail like that. The chains break and the beast easily gets free from the magic. With its red eyes shining, the beast glares at the hero with hate, getting ready to hit back. At this, a purple power traps the hero and his partner yells his name. Scared to see the young man in danger, the strong hit shocks the hero. However, before he could be hit, he barely moves away. His hand reaches out as he falls with no rule after ducking in fear. The hero gets back up and protects himself against the hit of a huge bone man with a giant scythe. The beast mocks him for ducking twice and notes how sure he is of his speed. The beast then calls him a low being for not having wings and needing to crawl. With that, the bone man says it will hit his legs first to stop him. The foe then turns on a skill called the World of Hexes. Shocked, the young man feels the world around him start to twist. At this, all turns upside down, and he starts falling up toward the boss. In the flipped sky, they face each other. The hero asks again what happened, and the beast gives a mean smile. Looking down, he sees the cave floor cracking and falling. The floor breaks, and he moans about having climbed 100 floors just to fall. Now the bone man warns that he won't move and gets a hit ready with its scythe. The hero panics seeing the beast smiling in a mean way upside down. With that, he calls a blue power dagger and gets ready to hit back. The bone man's hit hits the young man's dagger, causing a huge blast. He then says, "You can't make food without breaking eggs," and yells to blow up. The blast tosses him back, and he keeps falling in the flipped sky. At that second, the hero sees there is a wall and that he is stuck in the trap. Without a pause, the hero uses his blade to hook himself to the wall. With the wall broken, he steadies himself on the floating bits with a set look. Watching the scene, the bone man is shocked by the boy's odd move. The hero faces his foe and starts to think to get the state he is in. He then sees that this whole fall is just a trick made by his rival. The young man thinks he fell for the spell and asks how he can break that magic. With a focused look, he shakes his head, but the bone man gives him no time and already gets another hit ready with its dark power. The beast then opens its mouth and fires a strong pink power beam at the hero. The pink beam barely misses him, but scrapes his leg. The dark power then sticks to his leg like a kind of hex. At this, the beast warns him that he will be his new toy for magic. The creature says that the hate of the dead will slowly melt his body. Then the bone man asks what will end the hero first. If it will be the hate of his own kind, or something much more strong, or if it will be his strong scythe from the world below that will beat him for good. The hero then sees he needs to get out of that space fast, but he asks how he can do that if he is stuck and cannot move. The bone man gives him no time and already gets a strong hit ready with its giant scythe. With a mean look, the beast says bye to the human and fires its last hit. The scythe lets out a giant wave of purple power toward our hero. Feeling the pain, he asks if it is all over for him in that spot. That second, he thinks of the picture of his sister calling for him. With his last bit of strength, he whispers his sister's name. The bone beast then gives a mean smile, ready to end the battle. Suddenly, blue power chains trap the bone man, who gets nothing. Our hero is totally shocked by the shift and does not know what went on. Looking back, he tries to find where that help came from. To his shock, it was his cute partner who used the magic to trap the beast. His partner says that was his last plan to save the young man's life. At this, the partner starts to shine bright with a very strong blue light. The cute pet's body is wrapped by a strong blue spark power. A bright wave of power happens. The blue light blinds all around in the cave. Eyes like the heroes show up. A cloaked man holding a power blade shows up in front of the hero. With a new voice, the secret man starts to speak calmly. He says it would be an issue if the hero ended up dying in that spot. With that, his future self turns on a strong magic to wind back all around. Our hero is shocked and feels time moving in an odd way. He then sees that time is flowing back and the beast's hit goes away. Suddenly, all shifts and the hero finds himself falling into an odd space. With his blade, he hits a hidden wall that starts to break in the air. Floating in the air, the hero asks what this spot is. Soon after, the ring floor starts to crack and break totally. Large bits of the cave float through space, and all seems to be building itself again. The hero then lands safe and faces the strong bone beast before him. Both the hero and the beast are very mixed up by the shift. The foe asks if that was not a god-level spell used against him. Suddenly, the secret man lands on the dirt next to our hero. It was his older self who says it has been a while since he had that look. The beast gets mad at the scene and yells that the start of the show is finally over. The bone beast then lets out a purple power and calls its magic things. From the power, many odd angels with mean smiles on their faces show up. Facing an army, the future self says the beasts are rank A or higher. With that, his older self tells the boy to get up as he will deal with the goons. Our hero is shocked by the order to fight the boss alone. He says the foe is a god rank and too strong to beat, but his older self says he now gets and rules space-time magic. With a smile, he ends by saying that in the end, they are the same person. Hearing the words, the young hero seems to finally get what he needs to do. With a set look, he says yes to the plan and gets ready for the great battle. At this, the spirit says it will tell him the hit plan for them to beat the foe. The two then get ready to fight while the beast watches them from far off. The beast points their way and tells its army to hit with no mercy. With that, all the dark angels fly toward the two of them. Suddenly, a huge blast of blue power hits the beasts perfectly. With that, the duo runs with all they have to start the battle against the foes. With a smile, the older self faces the group of dark angels before him. He then uses the weight zone to trap all the foes in the air. With that, the dark angels cannot move or hit. Floating in the air, the spirit mocks the beasts to come and fight him. He then dares all the goons to come at him at once. Meanwhile, our hero runs with his blade to hit the main boss. On the way, he needs to duck some goons who manage to get away. Even so, the young man does not stop and keeps running toward the bone beast. His future self then uses a speed field to help with the run. With that, the hero gets great pace and thanks his partner for the aid. Getting close, the monster calls him a low and gross life form. But with a set look, the hero tells the foe to kick the bucket. The boss then turns on the world of hexes to try to stop the young man's hit. However, the hero says he has seen this trick before and won't fall for it again. With that, the hero breaks through the wall and the beast is shocked. His eyes shine bright and he runs with a shout. Mad, the foe calls him a low and rude being for daring to fight him like this. The young man says that hitting from the side is a waste of time and he needs to go right for it. So, he means to hit the beast head-on, and soon the two cross blades. His sword hits the beast's power and causes large beams. At that second, the hero uses the strong skill called Chaos Star. The hit strikes perfectly and the beast yells in pain. But the foe hits back and uses the blade of hexes to end the hero. The hit strikes the young man perfectly and he yells as he feels the strong blow on his body. With the hit, he is tossed back and starts to bleed a lot from his mouth and chest. At this, the beast sees many shadows of the hero showing up and does not get it. With this trick, the hero can share and lower the harm he took. Even hurt, the young man runs with all he has for one last final hit. With a shout and shining eyes, he vows he will beat the foe. The hero hits the beast with a huge blow, causing a giant blast. He ran forward again, catching the Soul Reaper off guard. He put every last bit of his strength into his next move, successfully pushing his blade into the beast's heart. The Soul Reaper let out a loud scream. And for a bit, Haruto thought he had won. But then it twisted its face into a smile that made him shake. He saw with a start that it did not have a heart. And before he could even think, the beast sliced him clean in two. His future self yelled his name in fear. The Soul Reaper laughed, mocking them for thinking its soft spot was something as easy as its heart. It teased them, saying that one of the special gifts of underworld gods is faking a weak point to trick their foes. The beast sneered at how silly humans were. Haruto's split body fell to the dirt as the Soul Reaper laughed, telling its swarm of small beasts to move forward. It mocked his future self, pointing out that he was the only one left. Shaking in shock, Haruto's future self said it was not possible and asked out loud what the real weak point could be. The Soul Reaper yelled that a god has no soft spots. It bragged that if it did have one, it would be as hard to touch as the idea of its own life, the forbidden crown of Hades. With that, It told its beasts to swarm Haruto's future self, saying it would not listen to any pleas for mercy. But Haruto's future self stayed very calm, asking his past self if he had heard that because now they knew what to do. Suddenly, the real Haruto showed up right behind the Soul Reaper. His blade pointed right at its head. He said that he had got the message. The Soul Reaper spun around totally mixed up and yelling that it could not be. After all, it had just sliced him in two a second ago. Haruto said that the one it cut down was just a copy. When the Soul Reaper had hit his chest, he had used Avatar Replay to make a shadow and send it running ahead while the real Haruto had been lying on the floor the whole time. Still not getting it, the Soul Reaper yelled that Haruto should have died from a direct hit from its god power. Haruto said that it was for sure a deadly blow. However, his future self had put a space-time skill called rollback on him right before the hit landed. Time had truly wound back for Haruto just before the second of his death. His future self added that the skill was very hard to use and could only be used once on the same person. Luckily for them, their plan had worked out great. The Soul Reaper ran for Haruto, but his future self let out Stop Chain level 78 to bind the beast. He then asked Haruto if they should get ready for the big end. Haruto turned to the Soul Reaper, saying that it had said the crown above its head was its weak spot. His future self joined in, promising that they would totally destroy it. He added they would smash that scary head of its into tiny bits. Haruto took a deep breath, and a memory of his little sister thanking him for everything and saying she loved him flashed through his mind. The memories came back strong, boosting his power. With his will back, he let out his full strength. In one big swing, he sliced off the Soul Reaper's head. He then jumped into the air and, moving with great speed, chopped its head into many small bits. The Soul Reaper's head vanished, and its body fell to the dirt. Finally beaten, as it fell, all the small beasts vanished with it. Haruto landed back on his feet just as a system note showed up saying that he had beaten the god of the underworld, the Soul Reaper. He had gained 120,000 experience points and 35 million credits. He turned to his future self and said that the goal had been reached. At that very second, a stair showed up leading up to the top floor. His future self said it was finally time to go, and Haruto said yes, walking over to him. Haruto then looked at his older self and asked with a bit of care if that is really what he was going to look like when he got older. His future self jokingly said he would hit him. Haruto fast said that he just meant it would have been nice if his future self had helped from the start. As they started climbing the stairs, his future self told him that he was only meant to be a last resort and that the case was more hard than it seemed. He cut the talk short, saying they did not have much time before the space-time hole opened and grabbed Haruto's hand tight, telling him for real that they needed to hurry. They stepped onto the top floor of the Sky Castle cave, which was hidden in a thick fog. His future self right away looked up and yelled to Haruto that it was there. They both watched as the sky started to crack and then burst with power. Floating in the middle of all the mess was a little girl, their sister Ria. His future self told him that the hole would stay linked to their world for another 9 minutes and 48 seconds, so they should take their time and not rush. As his future self floated toward the hole, he suddenly recalled something and turned on the speed field skill, making circles of power as he rose. Haruto called out, and they both raced up. As they got closer to the gap, Haruto yelled for Ria. She opened her eyes, saw him, and reached out as he shouted that he was right there. But his future self told him to stay calm, saying that the inside of the space-time hole was away from the world's laws, which meant only space-time magic would work. His future self then flew into the hole, telling Haruto he would use his magic to push Ria out. So, Haruto needed to be ready to catch her. Standing behind Ria, his future self put all his power into his hands and pushed with all his might to get her out. Ria moved closer to the edge, and Haruto waited, his eyes blurry as he tried to see her. She called out to him, calling him her big brother, but then, to his fear, the hole started to shut. Shocked, Haruto yelled to his future self, asking what was going on. His future self shouted back, just as stunned that it was way too soon for the hole to be closing. Panic started as he saw how fast it was shrinking. With Ria very close to being stuck, his future self used every last bit of his power to hold the hole open, screaming for Haruto to pull Ria out fast. Haruto yelled back a set yes, and used his own magic to pull her toward him. As Ria got closer, his future self struggled to keep the hole from falling in. His future self warned him that if Ria's body got stuck in the closing hole, she would be torn to bits, and even if she got out, she would die from the fall if he failed to catch her. Haruto focused hard, saying that he got it'd. As Ria finally cleared the hole and started to fall, she reached out for him, and he reached back. He managed to grab her hand and pull her into a tight hug, then shouted for his future self to hurry up and come back, but there was no answer. Mixed up, Haruto asked what was wrong and told him to hurry. His future self, however, just smiled and told him that this was where they had to say goodbye. Haruto, totally confused, asked what he was talking about. His future self said that he had reached his limit and could not hold his shape any longer. He added that he had used up all the power he had inside him with that last move and did not have enough left to get back to where he came from. Haruto tried to speak, but his future self stopped him, saying his name for real. He told Haruto that he had not been a very good student, always moaning, making silly errors, and just when it seemed like he was growing, his feelings would get the best of him and lead to more mess-ups. But even with all that, he had no regrets fighting with him because Haruto was such a kind and human person. His future self then told him that the space-time hole would never open again, making this their last goodbye. Sad, Haruto yelled for him to wait, saying that this could not be happening. But his future self put all his hopes on Haruto, telling him to save their world and his spot in it. Grit his teeth through the pain, Haruto agreed with tears, promising he would take the job. His future self laughed softly, saying it was a vow. Turning to Ria, he told her she was safe now. Ria, however, asked if he might also be her brother. The question shocked his future self, and he recalled how sweet Ria had been to him. He smiled at her and said welcome home. Then, as the hole finally shut, Haruto's future self vanished right with it. When the hole was totally gone, Haruto gripped his chest in pain and let out a loud cry for the loss of someone so big to him. In that second, Haruto had won a big battle, but also felt a deep loss. The day after clearing the Tokyo Tower cave, Haruto walked into his class. He was shocked when all the girls in the room ran to him, saying they had been waiting. Mixed up, he saw that even older students were there. One of the girls stepped up and, speaking for the group, gave their deep thanks for getting rid of Ryuga, with all of them joining in. The girls all started talking at once about how glad they were that the gross guy Ryuga had been crushed and how they could finally sleep without crying. One girl pointed at him, calling him their savior and asking who could have ever given him that mean nickname. Feeling shy, Haruto told them to stop, thinking to himself that all he wanted was a quiet life. Suddenly, Yuzuki walked up to him. She bowed and said that as the head of the student group, she wanted to say sorry for what the old leader did. He told her not to fret since it was not her fault, but she said she could not let it go, mainly since she was about to be the new student head. Looking him in the eye, Yuzuki asked if he would like to help the school from the inside, which left him mixed up. She said she was picking folks for the council and wanted him to lead the school's magic guards. The whole class was happy at her offer, but Haruto said no, saying he was fine where he was and would pass, which shocked Yuzuki. She then grabbed his hand and begged him, saying she would do anything if he just said yes. Renee could not believe Yuzuki was being so bold and felt dizzy with shock. Ami tried to help Renee, telling her it was okay. One of the other girls reminded Yuzuki that class was about to start and pulled her away. Before she went, Yuzuki yelled that they would keep talking at lunch and told him to stay in the room, using her new power as head. Haruto just sighed, totally fed up. During lunch, Haruto was on the roof on a bench checking the system. He saw his level was 98, his rank was C, and the system said he should move to a higher fighter rank. His skills had sword work at level 64 and space-time magic at level 82 with high stats. He also saw he had 5 new spells and thought that with stats like these, he felt like he could not be beaten. It made sense after all the foes he had taken down. He was then stunned to see his total cash had reached 43 million, a fortune for any high school kid. As he was eating his burger, he heard folks running up to the roof. Yuzuki burst in, asking loudly where he was. She looked around but could not find him. Mad, Yuzuki said she had told Haruto to wait in his room. Choosing to check the gym next, they all left without seeing him eating while watching from above. After jumping down, Haruto knew he needed a plan for this, or his life would get a lot harder. He turned to ask his future self for advice, but then he recalled his future self was gone. The sad memory hit him again. After school, Haruto went back to his flat with some food. He went up the stairs and put in his door code. As he opened it, he was shocked to hear Ria yell that he was late and she had been waiting. She then said, "Welcome home." He smiled and said, "Your big brother is home." Ria showed him the dinner she had made, saying it was a homemade meal from his cute sister, which left him amazed. Then she saw the bag in his hand and asked if he had bought food from the shop. He looked at the bag, seeing he had just picked it up out of habit. Ria told him he should try not to buy things they don't need. He nodded, saying she was right. She then reminded him that they would live together now and needed to save cash. Surprised, he said yes and vowed to do that. Ria stepped close, smiled, and said welcome home once more. He was stunned for a second as the memory of his future self saying welcome home to Ria flashed in his mind. He smiled and told her, "It's good to be home." He put the plastic bag on the table as Ria suddenly recalled something. Before they ate dinner, they both walked over to their family photo. Ria thanked their folks for raising them and asked them to keep watching over them, which made him smile at his little sister. Then Ria saw the scarf she had made for him. She could not believe he had kept it for so long, and he said, "Of course I did." She reminded him it was June, the middle of summer, but he jokingly told her that he gets cold easy, as she already knew. After he changed his clothes, they both sat down at the table. Ria proudly showed the meal as her own homemade cooking. He smiled, thanked her for the food, and took a bite. She asked him how it was and if he liked it. He told her it was great. Ria still could not quite believe she was really back and asked if she was truly home. He said yes, she's truly home. He also told her he had already sent all the paperwork to the office to let them know his little sister was in fact living. She thanked him and said that she had lost 2 years and really needed to work hard on her books. Haruto added that this also meant her dance school. Worried, she asked if they had the cash. He told her not to fret about money at all. Not now and not ever again, even far into the future. He teased her, saying she could go to the dance school even after she became a granny. Ria laughed and asked what he even meant by that. She then looked over at the toy bear and asked if it was right that they owed all to the future version of him. Haruto said yes, saying they had a lot to be thankful for. He then thought of his future self's last plea to save the world, which made him stare at the bear and ask how he was meant to even start. At that second, Ria recalled something was in her pocket. She said it had been inside her clothes when he saved her. She pulled out a small shining cube and asked if he knew what it was. Haruto was shocked to see it was a note cube. As soon as he turned it on, the cube shot out a bright light and his toy bear, now with his future self spirit, showed up, shocking him. His future self started speaking through the toy, saying that if Haruto was seeing this, it meant he was no longer in this world. He guessed that Haruto was probably feeling lost and asking how to save the world now that he was gone. Haruto listened as his future self said that as the strongest fighter, he had made plans in case this happened. Then with a proud look, his future self asked if Haruto agreed that he was totally cool and told him to praise him. Haruto could not help but think that his future self should not be so proud, even in a note. His future self then became stern, telling Haruto he would send a letter from the future version 2 to his bag. He told Haruto to use it to save the world and called him a savior. The cube then shut down, sending the letter for becoming a space-time wizard version 2 into his bag. The system showed a note from his future self, telling him not to be lazy just because he was not around to watch him anymore. Seeing his future self in the system made him feel better, and he smiled. Ria, seeing his smile, asked if folks were really calling him a savior these days, and said how cool that sounded. He just said it was nothing, just a result of a bunch of things. Meanwhile, at the Fighter Guild's main base, a meeting was going on where the 7 sages, all S-rank fighters, were gathered. The boss of the Monadu group, Iron, spoke to the team. He said they should move to the next item, the hunt for the Chaos Dragon at the train yard, the break-in at the Shinjuku lab, which was only for high-rank fighters, and the raid of Tokyo Tower's Sky Castle cave. He said that these 3 bad acts, all happening in the last few days, were likely done by the same person, and they needed to find them fast. The 5th sage, Tantalum, asked if the Sky Cave had been checked well, since it might be as hard as an S-rank spot. The 2nd sage, Platinum, asked if one person had really managed to raid a cave like that alone. The 6th sage, Kiryu, said that it seemed like something that could not be done. The third sage, 150 ounces, stayed quiet. The first sage, Hugh, said these acts were like a dare to the guild's power, which he thought was fun. The fourth sage, Siren, laughed and asked what kind of dark secrets the person was hiding. Finally, the seventh sage, Turium, said they had found a target to watch. Iron then told the team he was sure all 7 sages knew how big this was. He said that once they found the secret fighter, they should hire them for the guild's top staff and get them ready to be a soldier in the coming war. With that, Iron ended the meeting. The next day, on a quiet street, a mom and her kid were walking happy. The mom looked at some flowers while the kid, seeing a bright blue butterfly, ran after it. As the kid ran into the road, a truck came fast, and the driver yelled in shock. The mom heard the horn and saw her girl in the middle of the street. She ran, but it was too late. The truck was about to hit her. The kid's balloons flew up as a sad end was near. But then in a flash, he showed up. Haruto was standing in front of the mom, holding the kid safe in his arms. The mom was in shock, unable to get what had just went on. When she saw it was her girl, she ran to them, crying. Haruto asked the kid if she was scared and told her she was safe now. Haruto put the kid down, and the little girl said thanks. Her mom hugged her, yelling how glad she was. Haruto smiled, thinking how he saved the kid just in time. When he first saw her, he was afraid he would not make it. But with his magic, he did, even if he lost the girl's balloon and his own drink. It was a small price to save a life. He gripped his fist, feeling good about using his power well. The mom wanted to thank him, but Haruto said it was not needed. She asked for his name, but Haruto said no, wanting to stay hidden. Grabbing his bag, he said he had to run. The mom yelled for him to wait, but he was already running fast, so he would not be late. A bit later, he got to the school. He jumped from one roof to another until he landed at his class. Looking down, he saw the student council at the door, asking for him. He sighed and went to his room, but he could not miss the whispers from the other kids. He felt odd, thinking he did not even need magic to know he was being watched like a hawk. Meanwhile, Renee was watching him from the side, feeling like he was moving further away from her. It was just like that time she had run into him after leaving the Fighters Guild. She recalled a moment at the Shinjuku branch of the Fighter Guild. There, she had said she was a student from the school in the Nano area and told them she had finished a B-rank cave hunt. The man at the desk thanked her for her hard work. As she was about to go, he suddenly asked if a student named Haruto went to her school. Surprised, she said that she did know a student with that name. The man said that Takamine from the weapon lab had come up with a new way to make blades based on something called the Kuju idea. He added that when he asked Takamine about it, the man said that a student from Nano had given him the hint that helped him build it. The man said it all sounded quite hard to believe. Renee stared at Haruto, asking herself just how far he was planning to go. After their class, the teacher let them go for the morning, reminding them about the new student who would join them next week. During the lunch break, Haruto was back on the roof looking over the notes his future self had left him. One of the notes played with his future self, saying he should first focus on his skills with a blade. In the end, the note said that space-time magic is just a type of magic that helps. His true gifts were in his sword, and if he wanted to be a great wizard like him, he first had to live by the sword. The note ended by saying there would come a time when he would get why he was telling him this. But for now, that was all. The note then vanished, and Haruto lay on the bench, thinking about how his future self always spoke in riddles. He wished his future self would just speak more clearly. Elsewhere, someone strong had shown up at their school. The man used his ghost steps and fast move skills to magically close the gap as he moved. Haruto was suddenly shocked when he felt the presence, and when he looked back, he saw a man standing on the roof. Right away, Haruto pulled his blade from his bag and stood up to face the man, asking who he was. The man, who was none other than Kiryu, the sixth sage and great magic swordsman, asked Haruto if he was that person and said that he wanted to borrow his strength. Kiryu then looked at him for real and said, "The end of the world is almost here." Haruto saw he had not felt Kiryu's presence at all until he was right in front of him. This was no normal person. Kiryu was not just some average guy. Haruto then asked Kiryu if he really meant the end of the world and what he was talking about. Kiryu said it was just as it sounded. In the near future, all Haruto loved would turn to nothing and vanish. This shocked Haruto, who right away thought of Ria. He pointed his blade at Kiryu, saying he could not just believe a claim like that, mainly since he did not even know who Kiryu was or what kind of person he might be. He added that Kiryu had just shown up from nowhere and started making what sounded like threats, reminding him of a certain someone, his future self, whom he did not like much. Haruto then said that he would act based on his own thoughts and make his own choices. Kiryu smiled at this and pulled out a photo, asking Haruto if he still felt the same after seeing it. Haruto snapped when he saw the photo was of Ria doing her dance. In a burst of rage, he let out a strong power which shocked Kiryu. It was not just any fight spirit. It was a strange one. However, Kiryu saw that Haruto had what it takes to be a true swordsman. He told Haruto that he had only taken the photo to check his past and had not touched his sister. Kiryu then drew his blade, vowing on his name that he meant no harm. He fast walked past Haruto, adding that if it took a fight to win him over, he would take the challenge. This only made Haruto more mad. He told Kiryu that he had gone too far. Kiryu jumped back, warning Haruto that whatever went on next, he should not feel bad about it later. As they got ready to fight, Kiryu used his kill spirit skill. Haruto was shocked to see that there was no power around Kiryu, which meant he would not be able to see the flow of time. Noticing Haruto's silence, Kiryu asked if something was wrong and told him that ready or not, he was coming. Kiryu then vanished in a blur and showed up right in front of Haruto, shocking him. Kiryu said that his skill did not mean showing his aim to kill, but the opposite. It meant killing his own aura or presence. Kiryu then swung his blade at Haruto, who barely managed to jump, twist in the air, and duck the hit. Haruto saw that Kiryu's skill was removing the power from the area. Haruto asked Kiryu why he was saying how his skills worked, jokingly asking if he was some kind of dumb bad guy from a book. Kiryu calmly said that he was telling him because he could still win even after giving away his secrets. He said that by killing his presence, he could always take the lead from his foe. Suddenly, Kiryu showed up behind Haruto without him seeing. As Haruto turned to face him, Kiryu swung his blade and managed to cut him. Kiryu smiled, thinking he had won. But then, to his shock, Haruto's shape slowly faded away. It had been a copy made with his avatar replay skill. The real Haruto showed up behind Kiryu and swung his blade down, but Kiryu bent his body just in time to duck the hit, asking what was going on. Mad that he had not landed the hit, Haruto watched as Kiryu jumped back to get some space. Kiryu, still mixed up, saw that he should have cut Haruto and asked if it was more than just a fake image. As Kiryu stood up, 2 buttons fell off his coat from the force of Haruto's hit. Taking the second, Haruto used his fast body skill to run toward Kiryu at high speed. As he swung his blade, Kiryu, seeing the power Haruto had, smiled, thinking this was getting fun. Kiryu blocked Haruto's blade with his own, and the force sent sparks flying. Kiryu looked at Haruto, asking what he would do next. Haruto, knowing he could not see the flow of time, tried a new trick. He pushed Kiryu's blade and turned on his stop chain skill, which stuck Kiryu and his blade in place. Kiryu was shocked as he found himself totally tied up. Haruto built some power in his fist, and Kiryu was even more surprised when Haruto bent down and fired a punch using his time fist skill. Stunned for a bit, Kiryu let go of his blade and managed to turn on his steel body skill just in time. Haruto's punch hit Kiryu, causing a loud blast and sending Kiryu flying. Though he was fine, Kiryu was amazed by the power of Haruto's hit, seeing it was not just a random punch. He then stared at Haruto, seeing him as an awakened one. Haruto cursed, seeing that even his last hit had not worked. He was mixed up when Kiryu suddenly said they should stop. Kiryu then walked calmly toward Haruto, saying sorry for what he had said about his sister. He bowed low, asking for grace for his rude act and vowing he would never do it again. Haruto was stunned and asked what was going on. Kiryu simply grabbed his blade and said that he would be leaving now. Haruto yelled after him, asking why he was deciding this alone and saying their match was not over. Kiryu said that of course it was not done and they should keep going at his school. Haruto, more mixed up than ever, asked what he meant. Kiryu said that Haruto had a rare gift, but was still too weak and had not reached the level he wanted. He said they should learn the secrets of the blade at his school to help Haruto get stronger. Haruto then recalled his future self's note, telling him that his true gift was in the sword and that if he wanted to be a great wizard, he first had to live by the sword. Haruto told Kiryu that he still did not trust him. Kiryu said that was fair, but pointed out he was much stronger than Haruto, asking if that was not reason enough to listen. Kiryu then told the young man he would be waiting for him at his school before vanishing. Mixed up, Haruto felt something in his pocket and pulled out a student swap paper between his school and the one in Azabu. He saw that Kiryu must have slipped it in during their fight. Seeing that Kiryu meant Azabu was his school, Haruto madly thought that the man really knew how to get on his nerves. Meanwhile, Kiryu stood at the school gate, fixing his coat. He thought to himself that Haruto was the real deal. Before the other sages could use Haruto like a toy, Kiryu was set to train him well. Then, once Haruto joined the top 7, he would help him take their power. Kiryu vowed to ruin the plans of the others. On the roof, Haruto looked at the swap paper. It said the goal was to make fighters from every school stronger. The time was July 1st to 13th. The rules said a student had to be from the agency, and council members got top perks at the new school. As he was reading, Yuzuki burst onto the roof yelling that she had found him and that today he would join her group for sure. Haruto stood up, said her timing was great, and told her he was in. She froze in shock, stunned that he had finally said yes. That a week later at the Azabu branch, Haruto was walking with Yuzuki. She said how glad she was, not just because he joined the council, but because he wanted to go to the Azabu school with her. He said it was just his job as a council member. In truth, he mostly wanted those top perks. Yuzuki said Azabu was known for making many S-rank fighters and was the best school in Japan. She said it was for the elite only. Before going in, Yuzuki turned back happy, telling him to do their best. He said yes, feeling a bit much as they stepped inside a huge hall. Yuzuki said they should say hello to the boss first. As they walked, Haruto saw the students watching them, asking who these two new folks were. He chose not to fret and just move at his own pace. Yuzuki saw he felt odd and told him not to be afraid because she was with him. He said okay, but asked himself if Yuzuki would really be fine there. On the 20th floor, they got to the main office. Haruto knocked, and when they went in, Kiryu was sitting in the middle waiting. He said he was the school's boss, leaving Haruto in shock that this was really Kiryu's spot. Kiryu stood up and said welcome, saying that while most use magic, this school was all about the sword. Even in the agency, they were rare. He added that instead of magic fights, they did sword fights, and he expected them to get to the top of the school ranks while they were there. Haruto was shocked when Kiryu pointed right at him. But before he could speak, Yuzuki told Kiryu to wait a bit, saying that was not meant to be part of the swap plan. However, Haruto asked Kiryu if he could fight him again if he took part, leaving Yuzuki mixed up and asking what he meant by again. Kiryu said that the student who gets to the first spot in the ranks earns the right to challenge the strongest person at Azabu school, himself. Haruto, happy to hear this, said that was just what he wanted and that he would climb to the top and beat Kiryu as fast as he could so he could go home early, which made Yuzuki panic. Haruto told Kiryu his only gripe was that their old fight ended halfway, and once they settled it, he would have no reason to stay. Kiryu said he had no issue with that, and that the school loved any fighter aiming for the top, no matter how they acted. Kiryu then opened a system and gave them school IDs and class lists, saying these let them use the school's gear and get top perks as council members. Haruto saw his level was 98, putting him at 4,395th out of 14,000 in the ranks. He asked himself if the ranks worked the same as in his old school and thought about hitting higher-ranked kids one after the other to rise fast. After all was said, Kiryu wished them luck and said bye. As they walked down the hall, Yuzuki yelled that this was too much, asking how she was meant to aim for the top. Haruto said she did not need to do that as the new head. He then thought of the fastest way to move up, thinking of spots where top kids might be, like the big halls, the council rooms, the fight rings, the gym, the food hall, and the boss's office. With a set smile, Haruto chose to visit those spots. A bit later, in the food hall on the second floor, a crowd of kids gathered to eat. Yuzuki asked if he forgot to have his meal that morning, and he said, yes. Suddenly, a robot showed up, saying hello and asking if they were swap students. The robot said the school's rule is that your morning meal sets your whole day, so they should eat as much as they want. He saw a fake maid scanning their IDs and playing notes for them. Yuzuki, shocked by the big menu, asked if all the food was free. Amazed by how much cash the school had, she grabbed some tools and said it was time for a look. He told her to go ahead, and she started checking the food, happy with the robot system and the healthy menu. She yelled that this was her dream food hall and said they needed this at their own school right away. As he watched the new head act odd, he recalled his real reason for being there. Suddenly, a loud crash got his eye, followed by a man's voice mocking someone. Looking to the side, he saw a group of men bullying a lone student. The boy asked them to stop, but the group's boss laughed, saying it was a waste on a weak guy like him. As he held up a blade, the student begged for it back. But the boss yelled for him to be quiet, saying this was his payback for sitting in the Rue group seats without asking. Just as Haruto thought, bullies were there, even in this elite spot. He knew that no matter how good a school is, there will always be folks like this, and teachers cannot be in every spot. Food halls were common spots for this, but he felt lucky to find them fast. It meant he could deal with them sooner. The boss teased the kid, saying he was not allowed in the food hall unless his rank was in the top 100, and asked if he did not know that rule. The student said that where one sits should not matter. But the boss grabbed him, yelling that it did and calling him the god of sickness with no magic, a name that shocked Haruto. The boss then pushed the kid to the floor, and the crowd laughed, which made Haruto feel it was time to step in. The boss smirked, saying that giving him the blade would be a waste, so he would keep it. One of the other goons said the blade looked like it cost a lot, and if they sold it, the Rue group would have tons of cash. The boss waved his hand and told the boy to leave, but the student, shaking yet brave, yelled back, asking for his blade and saying it was a gift from his dad. This made the boss mad, and he fired a punch, yelling that he did not care. The boy got ready for the hit, but the boss's hand was stopped in the air. Haruto had stepped in, blocking the punch with one hand, leaving both the boss and the boy stunned. The boss yelled, asking who Haruto was, and shocked his hit was stopped so easily. Haruto calmly said he was a swap student from Nano and was looking for the top-ranked kid in the school. He then asked the boss where he could find that person. The boss yelled that he had no reason to tell him anything. In return, Haruto gripped the boss's fist tighter, forcing him to his knees and making him yell in pain. Haruto said the fastest way to find the top kid was to ask a hothead like him. The boss's goons panicked, asking Haruto what he was doing. But Haruto just glared at them, asking again for the top-ranked student. The boss, now scared, paused. Suddenly, a loud voice said, "That is enough." A blade was thrown at Haruto, and he barely jumped back to duck it. Looking up, Haruto felt the touch of a hidden blade, as if it almost cut him. The true boss of the Rue group, Nobunaga, had shown up with his team. Nobunaga warned Haruto not to bully his peers. Nobunaga, a third year who was rank 3 in the school, was also a master of his own sword style. Though the school had trouble with his ways, his skill was almost the same as the top student, making him a pick to be a teacher later. The bullied boy could not believe that Nobunaga was now facing a swap student. Nobunaga then asked what happened, and Haruto calmly said the group was bullying a kid and he only stepped in to stop it. Mad, Nobunaga turned to his men and asked if it was true. The bullies lied, saying the swap student was the one lying. Fed up, Nobunaga hit his men, leaving all 3 on the floor. Nobunaga snapped that he could tell they were lying by their eyes. He then picked up the boy's blade, bowed, and said sorry for the trouble his group caused. Haruto told Nobunaga there was no need to say sorry. Nobunaga then gave the blade back to the man, who took it and said thanks. Haruto was shocked that someone so fair and direct led the group. Standing up, Nobunaga said he would have liked to stay at peace and enjoy his day, but letting this slide would hurt his group's pride. He then dared Haruto to a fight and asked if he took the challenge. The boy they saved, looking worried, told Haruto to say no, reminding him that Nobunaga was rank 3 in the school. Haruto, however, said yes without a second thought, telling Nobunaga he would gladly fight him. Nobunaga thanked him, saying this made things easy, and walked off, adding that he would wait at the ring after class. As Nobunaga left, Haruto watched him for a bit. The boy they saved walked up to Haruto, asking if he would really be okay. The student, shaking, said Nobunaga was the 3rd best and asked why Haruto would take such a risk. Haruto asked the boy if he was truly fine with how things were. He said that if he did nothing, those bullies would pester him for all of high school. The boy, holding his blade tight, said he was used to it and hoped it would stop. The sword started to let out magic, which Haruto saw. Using his eye of time, he knew the magic in the blade. Haruto then spoke to him for real, asking how he felt when his blade was taken. The boy looked mixed up, so Haruto said that even though he knew he could not win, he still moved, driven by something deep inside. The boy was quiet, and Haruto, fed up, asked if he was truly happy letting things stay this way. After a bit, the boy said he did not want to take it anymore. He wanted to stand up and keep his blade safe. Haruto smiled and praised his will, then asked for his name, holding out a hand. The boy shook it and said his name was Ibuki. Haruto told him his own name, then told Ibuki to dare the boss of the bullies to a fight, though Ibuki looked shocked. Haruto promised to make sure he wins. He told Ibuki they should both aim to win their fights, and Ibuki nodded. Just then, Haruto's phone buzzed with many notes. It was Yuzuki asking where he went and moaning that she was still eating, making him sigh. Later, in the waiting room, Yuzuki burst in, yelling and asking what Haruto was thinking by agreeing to a fight on his first day. He tried to calm her, saying a lot happened, which made her more mad. She asked if that was all he had to say. Haruto reminded her that the boss of the school told them to aim for the top, so he thought the fastest way was to fight the third-ranked kid. Yuzuki, holding her head, said she was shocked it was so easy to set up a fight. Haruto then said his goal was to get to the first spot so he could fight the school boss, beat him, and go home right after. Ibuki, hearing this, was stunned by how bold he was. But then Ibuki said that if anyone could do it, it might be Haruto, adding that beating the boss would be a huge deal. Ibuki also said he might even earn the rare skill cube. Haruto asked what that was, as it was new to him. Ibuki said that the school's founder had mastered the sword's secrets and put them in a skill cube. This shocked Haruto, who recalled Kiryu telling him to find the sword's secrets at the school. Haruto asked what was inside, and Ibuki said it held a rare skill only the founder ever knew, the space slash. Stunned, Haruto asked if it really let one cut through space. Ibuki nodded, saying it was just a story and no one had seen it. Haruto wondered if this skill could help his future self. Feeling even more set on not losing the fight, he gripped his fist and said he had a new reason to win. But first, he told Ibuki that he would be the first act. Ibuki shook but said yes, saying he would do his best. Ibuki then said that the bully was mad when he was dared to a fight, asking Haruto if he had a secret plan to make sure he won. Haruto told him not to worry, saying if he followed the steps, he would for sure win. He then asked Ibuki to show him his blade. Later, in the ring at the school, students gathered around. They were yelling as Ibuki and his foe, the bully, faced off. The bully pointed his blade at Ibuki, mocking him for the dare. He promised to beat him up, which made Ibuki shake, but he stayed quiet. In the crowd, Yuzuki watched and asked Haruto if Ibuki would really be okay. Haruto said yes, saying Ibuki could handle it. Just before, Haruto had given Ibuki clear steps. The second the fight started, he should pull his blade and do one smooth cut without stopping. Mixed up, Ibuki had asked if that was really all. Haruto nodded, saying the bully would run at him fast, thinking he was an easy goal. Haruto told Ibuki to keep his eyes open, face forward, and do a clean pull cut without thinking twice. If Ibuki did this, he would win. With a set look, Ibuki said he trusted Haruto. Back in the now, Haruto watched from the side, smiling and cheering for him. Meanwhile, on the other side, Kiryu watched the two, waiting for the show to start. The host said the names. Ibuki, rank 3,424, and Kintaro, rank 153. With a mean tone, Kintaro told Ibuki that after he won, they should still be pals. Ibuki was quiet for a bit, then said, "Got it," adding that if he won, Kintaro should leave him alone for good. He then called Kintaro a name, which made the bully mad. The crowd was shocked, but Haruto just smiled with pride. Ibuki took a deep breath, holding his blade as he got ready. Kintaro opened his bag as the match started, pulling a second blade and pointing both at Ibuki. Haruto was shocked to see Kintaro using two swords. Thinking he was either very good or very silly, Kintaro ran at Ibuki. Just as Haruto thought, Ibuki recalled the advice to never look away. So he kept his eyes on Kintaro. Recalling the next step, he pulled his blade and did a strong cut. Kintaro, shocked by the speed, tried to block with both blades, but Ibuki's hit was so fast and strong it cut through both of them. Kintaro was tossed back, hitting the wall and falling out cold. His two goons were shocked while their boss, Nobunaga, just sighed. The host said Ibuki was the winner, and the crowd went wild. Yuzuki was amazed and told Haruto that Ibuki really won. Haruto said it was expected, saying Ibuki's blade was a magic sword. Yuzuki was stunned. Earlier, Haruto had used his Eye of Time to see the blade's stats. It had a rare gift. Unlike what others thought, Ibuki did not have zero magic. The blade was always taking his power, which is why he seemed weak. Also, the blade had a trick where it let out all the power it took in one big burst. Since Ibuki had the blade for 3 years without a fight, it had built up a ton of power. For some reason, Ibuki did not know his blade was magic. But Haruto knew that either way, a win was a win. A bit later in the hall, Ibuki thanked Haruto fast, saying his win was all thanks to him. He was amazed at all that went on since Haruto showed up, saying he had been wowed over and over. Haruto said it was nothing, telling Ibuki it was all due to his own power. He chose to tell Ibuki about the blade's magic when they had more time. Turning back, he told Ibuki it was now his turn in the ring. Back at the ring, Kiryu watched from above. Nobunaga told Haruto that he meant to go all out as he was fighting for the pride of his group. Haruto said he would not have it any other way. They both pulled their blades, Nobunaga resting his on his shoulder while Haruto held his low. They faced each other with smiles, getting ready to fight. As the host started the match, Haruto saw that Nobunaga stayed still, just standing there instead of moving first. Yuzuki and Ibuki watched with care while the other group members, including a hurt Kintaro, waited for their boss to win. Kiryu just watched. Haruto asked himself what Nobunaga's plan was, seeing that his pose had many gaps. Though not sure what the man meant to do, Haruto chose not to go easy. He ran forward to close the gap, but was shocked as Nobunaga started smiling, letting out a strong and known force. Seeing it as the same aura he had felt before, Haruto stopped mid-run, turning on his Eye of Time to check Nobunaga. To his shock, he saw no power around him. He started to think that the top fighters at this school might use a kill spirit trick rather than time magic, making it hard to guess their moves. Nobunaga then walked slow, stopping close by before letting out a breath and turning on a secret trick. He let out a ghost hit that cut deep into the floor with hidden blades in every way. Seeing the risk, Haruto jumped up to get away. But Nobunaga showed up above him in a flash, cutting off his path. Haruto managed to block the sudden swing with his blade, holding tight and putting his strength into his guard, which seemed to wow Nobunaga. Taking the chance, Haruto fired a time fist toward Nobunaga's chest. Nobunaga turned on steel body just in time, taking the hit. To Haruto's shock, the hit left Nobunaga totally fine. Both fighters then jumped back to check their spots. Nobunaga noted Haruto's skill in handling the hidden cuts and asked how good Haruto really was. Haruto was quiet, seeing that Nobunaga had taken his time fist without a scratch. Nobunaga then said that his style was not just about the blade, but also making the body as tough and sharp as a sword itself. Hearing this, Haruto took a deep breath, telling himself to trust his gut rather than his Eye of Time. Seeing that Haruto seemed to have cleared his mind, Nobunaga changed his focus. Haruto turned on his fast body skill while Nobunaga used his ghost steps, both gaining great speed. Haruto ran forward, letting out a strong cut, but Nobunaga ducked with equal pace, hitting back with a clean swing. Haruto blocked it, then spun in the air to land another hit. Nobunaga got away by bending back, holding himself by putting his blade in the dirt. Fixing his spot, he followed up with a kick that sent Haruto flying. But Haruto managed to stop before getting back up. Holding his blade tight, Haruto saw how strong Nobunaga was. Driven to win, he stepped forward again. Haruto swung his blade back for more power and fired a hit at Nobunaga, who blocked it easy. Nobunaga then pushed forward, letting out a strong cut and daring Haruto to take it head-on. Haruto fast jumped back to duck and, without even touching the dirt, swung his blade back for another strong hit. Nobunaga blocked this too. The kids watching were hooked, their eyes struggling to keep up with the deep fight before them. Many were wowed by Nobunaga's skill, but they also asked who this great swap student was. Yuzuki, in a panic, asked how things had gotten so big so fast, yelling that they might need to look at the whole swap plan again. Ibuki cheered for Haruto while Nobunaga's group yelled for their boss. Haruto told himself he could not lose this match. He was sure the win would be his. He needed to save his future self, and this fight was a big step. Nobunaga seemed to feel this will, seeing that Haruto was carrying a heavy load. He liked Haruto's drive, but knowing his own reasons, he could not lose either. Nobunaga turned up the pressure around them, boosting his power and will, which shocked Haruto as he felt the weight of Nobunaga's aura. Then, with his own heavy goal in mind, Nobunaga ran forward to hit as Nobunaga moved in. Old memories came back. At 8 years old, he had told his mom he was leaving for school, and she had said bye with love. When he got to class, he found his desk covered in hate, notes for him to leave, and mean names. His peers mocked him, acting like they felt bad for him while laughing. Nobunaga stayed quiet, sitting at his desk while the kids laughed. Later, at home, he heard his mom begging a man for more time to pay back a debt. The man felt a bit bad, knowing she was only paying for her husband who was gone, yet she was stuck with the bill. She said sorry and promised to find the cash soon. Seeing his mom's pain made Nobunaga mad, so he ran to a park and hid a bag he had hung from a tree, vowing to get strong enough to change his life and save his family. As he got older, Nobunaga became a boxer, winning every fight. After each match, as he took his pay, he would tell himself he needed to get even stronger to protect the ones he loved. One day, while leaving the ring, Kiryu showed up in the hall. He knew him as the kid who was an unbeaten champ in the illegal boxing world. Kiryu asked if he was Nobunaga, and Nobunaga asked with doubt who Kiryu was. Kiryu said he had watched the match and saw he had a good build, but warned that his gift would go to waste at this rate. Nobunaga got mad and asked what he meant, and Kiryu calmly asked if Nobunaga wanted cash to help his family. Mad at the talk, Nobunaga pushed for more, but Kiryu just smiled, handing him a note to learn the way of the blade. As Nobunaga opened the note, Kiryu said his style was perfect for those good at fighting and told Nobunaga to find him after he learned it. Holding out a hand, Kiryu welcomed Nobunaga to Azabu School, a place for sword work, and offered him a full free ride for his classes. Nobunaga slapped Kiryu's hand away, doubting the offer and calling it a trick. But then, as he thought of the chance to get stronger, he let out a surge of will and said yes, saying he would do anything to get the strength he wanted. 2 years later, Nobunaga had mastered the style, showing just how hard he had worked for his power. He started to get why the boss, Kiryu, wanted him at the school. In a spot where the blade decided all, kids with bad pasts and rough ways naturally came together. It was clear that Kiryu wanted Nobunaga to lead these lost students. Before long, he was in charge of all the school's tough kids. Though Kiryu was still a man of secrets, he had shown Nobunaga a way to make cash to pay his family's debt. For this, Nobunaga felt very thankful. To others, his group looked like a pack of goons, but to him, they were just like him, flawed folks fighting to get by. With this in mind, Nobunaga yelled that he had no aim to lose, catching Haruto off guard. He then turned on his secret trick, Scenic Beauty, which boosted the force of his blade to a new level. Haruto was amazed, feeling the power from the sword grow fast. He saw that if the fight kept on like this, he would be crushed by sheer force. Looking into Nobunaga's eyes, he felt a directness he had never seen before. Knowing he could not use his time gifts, Haruto chose to trust his own strength and the blade that had always been by his side. Haruto turned on his chaos sword skill to meet Nobunaga head-on. He let out a force that matched the other man's, putting all his power into the hit and recalling his future self's words. To be a great wizard, he had to live by the sword. Nobunaga was shocked to see Haruto laughing with joy in the middle of the fight. Their blades hit with giant force, pushing them both back. Nobunaga felt that same joy, and they both ran forward again, putting all they had into the next hit. When they clashed again, the hit caused a giant blast, hiding the ring in thick smoke. The crowd was quiet. Yuzuki and Ibuki looked on with fear, as did Nobunaga's team. Kiryu just waited for the end. As the smoke went away, both men could be seen. However, Nobunaga's blade was broken and he was bleeding. He could not believe that Haruto had cut through his steel body. As Nobunaga fell, he knew Haruto's power was endless, maybe even more than the school boss's. The host shook while saying Haruto was the winner, and the crowd was stunned before they all started yelling. Yuzuki felt dizzy from the shock while Haruto stood calm, watching as healers ran to help Nobunaga. Kiryu was quietly wowed. For Haruto to beat the rank 3 boy mostly with a sword proved he was the chosen one. He saw him as the best pick to face the scary foes that had bothered the school for 50 years. Meanwhile, Haruto looked at his shaking hand, thinking of the deep fight. He had not thought it would be so fun, and for a second, he just loved the joy of the battle. Later, outside the school, Haruto was quiet as Nobunaga and his group bowed at once, saying sorry for the mess they made. Haruto said it was fine, looking at Ibuki who nodded. Nobunaga then looked up, saying thanks for being easy on them. With a grin, he put an arm on Haruto's shoulder, saying that losing so bad actually felt good. Haruto saw how fast the man's mood shifted and how much life he had. Seeing the other kids stare, he shook and told Nobunaga to quiet down, saying he did not want to be the center of a scene. Nobunaga laughed and told Haruto not to be shy. He said that since his group lost, they would now be his allies and help him anytime. Haruto, shocked by this, nodded and said he got it, adding he would call them if things got tough. Nobunaga was happy and told him he could count on them. The next day at home, Haruto watched the news. The report said crime was down, but harm from beasts leaving caves was going up each year. The police and the army were asking the guild for more help. The news also said that since the caves showed up 30 years ago, Japan's wealth had grown by 10% every year. After saying a word to his parents' photo, Haruto grabbed his bag. The news went on, saying Japan's many cave experts gave the land a big lead in cash. The government was giving money to firms to make gear to fight beasts and use magic stones. Ria gave Haruto his lunch, and he thanked her. As he put on his shoes, she asked if he was going to Azabu school again. Haruto said yes, as he was still in the swap plan. She said it sounded nice and that the big buildings made her want to visit. Haruto laughed, saying the inside was actually quite old, but he was being treated like a king. Ria smiled and said it was good for him to have a normal school life. Haruto felt warm seeing her smile and agreed. He then asked if she was starting middle school that day. She said yes, noting she only had memories of being a small kid and needed to learn fast. Haruto patted her head, vowing in his heart to never let her be sad again. Later, near the school, he heard a woman yell for someone to let her go. A man was grabbing her, asking if she knew how much cash he had spent on her. Kids nearby saw the woman was Malyulu, a big star with 3 million fans. Haruto looked back, but chose to keep walking, thinking it was not his business. Meanwhile, Malyulu got free and told the man he was shameful for trying to own her. Mad, the man warned her that a new cave was close by and it was risky, but she kept running. Malyulu only stopped when she heard a scary sound. Looking up, she saw a cave gate open and beasts started to come out. They were imperial centipedes, B-rank killers that need a level of 1,200 to beat. She froze in fear. Malyulu fell to the dirt, crying as the giant bugs moved in. The folks nearby panicked, asking why beasts were outside the cave. Chaos broke out as everyone ran, leaving Malyulu alone and shaking. As one of the bugs' heads opened its huge jaws to bite her, the crowd screamed, sure she was dead. All of a sudden, Haruto jumped toward the beast. Just as the bug was about to bite, the dirt broke under its head, which had been cut off in a flash, spraying green blood all over. The crowd was shocked as the monster shook in pain. Haruto calmly carried Malyulu away from the creature. As she opened her eyes, she was stunned to see him holding her. He gently set her down, telling her to run fast, and then turned to go, leaving her unable to speak. Haruto stopped near the bug, pausing. He did not want to get into more messy spots, but he knew he would not sleep well if he let these folks get killed. Then, to his shock, he saw the cut-off head grow back and stick to the body. He saw the beast could heal itself. Right then, a pack of fighters showed up. The boss of the group checked the scene, asking if all were okay, and said they were from the local branch of the guild. Seeing Haruto, they told him to move back, warning that he would die if he stayed. One fighter told the boss that the beast was a B-class killer with a high rank, needing a level over 1,000 to beat. The boss, looking worried, noted their team was only level 80 and doubted they could win. Another member said to call the 7 sages, but the boss yelled that they would not get there in time. With no other pick, the fighters got ready to battle. Set on saving the folks even with the bad odds, Haruto quietly watched them from a bit away. Just then, one of the bugs' heads ran at 2 fighters who took a guard pose even though they knew they were beat. Luckily, a chain showed up, stopping the bug's head in the air. It was Haruto using his stop chain skill. The fighters, mixed up, asked if they had been saved. Haruto, not caring about being seen, turned on his magic to grip the beast and then used his fast body skill, running forward at high speed. Sensing a threat, the bug moved its head and spit a toxic juice at him. Haruto ducked, jumping away just in time, and saw the ground melt where the juice hit. He quickly saw it was a melting poison hit and chose to keep the harm to the area low. Suddenly, the beast showed up under him, jaws open, and bit down, seeming to cut him in half. But Haruto vanished like a ghost, shocking the bug. Thanks to his copy skill, he had skipped death, saying that the version it hit was just a shadow of himself from 0.3 seconds ago. He took the chance, swinging his blade in a strong arc that cut the beast's head off with one hit. The fighter boss was amazed as the giant head hit the dirt, and nearby, Malulu watched in awe. Haruto walked up to the head, putting his hand over it.